Hey guys, happy Friday and happy weekend. It's here at last again. I'm here with Calm in the Chaos. Tracy, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. We've been having great weather here in the Pacific Northwest, and we've been enjoying it. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me
Nice.
on your channel.
Thanks for coming on. You're welcome. Yeah, well, we're having a quick chat backstage there, and I was telling you that I could talk about this case endlessly. I'm proper hooked on this one. Um, and I was saying, you know, if there's anything you need to know on this case, any questions, then just fire them away because I think I know everything there is to know about this case that's actually out there,
Mm.
which is actually quite limited. But
I'm wondering why you're proper hooked on this case. I'm really super curious about that. Like, why this case? Why are you proper hooked on this case?
good question. And the comment that I've got on the screen right now from Jackie, I know she's under the account name Ed, but that's actually Jackie. She says, "Hi guys, just want to say originally I was manslaughter, then second degree. Now, oh my God, the more I watch the martyr interviews, I hate her even worse. And yeah, second degree, long sentence, right? So that was exactly my take on it originally, and I think it was perhaps one of the reasons that I did get hooked on this, and also because the interrogation was so fascinating to me because it was so unbelievable to actually digest what I was watching. It's one of the most unique interrogations you'll ever come across, I think,
Mm.
because you had someone in front of you literally not much longer than 24 hours after finding her partner of 3 years dead. And to me, she seemed more preoccupied by being defensive about her um, what has turned out to be alcoholism, like a really deep-rooted alcoholism.
Mm. Mm.
Um, and it's just crazy to think that it's almost like a really dark metaphor for the dangers of self-abuse, right? For substance abuse, because I still believe there's no chance this could ever have happened without the aid of, her addiction.
Yeah, what's the dark metaphor though? That's interesting. I love metaphors, by the way, but the suitcase, right, is sort of a dark place, and the substance abuse is maybe a dark place too. Um,
Yeah, well, the metaphor in terms of the dangers that substance abuse can do to not only yourself but to people around you, people that you
mhm.
probably care about, right?
Yeah.
It's the most uh, most horrible version of that in this case, right? Because someone actually died, and it happened to be someone that apparently she cares a lot for.
Mhm.
Um,
But she had also been abused by him as well, right? So
she
she
had,
had some stuff that she was repressing and apparently just kind of flipped a switch in that moment. I don't know if that's really true, and the alcohol probably did help, but definitely had been, oh my gosh, that video that she took from her phone was just heartbreaking. Like he was like,
yeah,
Sarah, Sarah. I'm
I
like,
know,
oh my gosh, how could she ignore that? But she was just like, you know, like,
I
that's my
know.
name, don't wear it out.
It's it's horrific, and I was thinking about this just before coming on. She feels kind of like the inverse of, say, Chris Watts. Chris Watts, to anyone that was around him prior to the murders, thought he was a good guy, right? Thought he was a decent father. Um, couldn't hurt a fly. He had a pleasant personality, I think, right? Of course, he was always socially awkward and shy, I think, right? But he would have been spoken about in those terms. Yet he committed the most heinous crime possible, and then on top of that, the most heinous disposal possible of two children that um, he must have loved. I was starting to doubt that, but I'm starting to be convinced that he maybe did love them. But anyway, that's the inverse of Sarah Boone. She's got the most heinous personality, yet she may actually not be guilty of second-degree murder, because I still believe there's a good argument for manslaughter.
And what do you think is so heinous about her personality? I would wonder.
To me, she seems incredibly narcissistic, selfish. I guess those two things are pretty much the same thing, really, or strongly linked. She seems incapable of having self-awareness. I mean, she has obvious mental health problems that she wasn't being able to contain, and it was projecting onto people around her. Because what we've learned from what the ex-husband has stated, he could never rely on her in terms of taking the kid, looking after the kid. They had 50-50, like a 50-50 kind of timetable for the kids. But she constantly had to make her excuses, you know.
Well, she was described by both her ex-husband and the neighbors, like people who knew her, friends and neighbors, as a belligerent drunk, right? And so that was how she was described. And I wonder, do you know at what point in time she started using substances? Because that kind of goes into my theory about what's going on with her.
Okay. We'll be hopefully going through some of the interviews where that might be more clear, but it's without a doubt, from what I remember the ex-husband saying, it was round about the time that their son was born. And can you see the screen right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so it'd be around about this time. So her son was 7 years old at the time of George's death. So you're talking about 7-8 years of what he describes is pretty intense.
Okay.
Drinking there.
So she would have been in her like early 30s or early to mid 30s at that time, because she's 40 now, and if he's 7, then just kind of do the math. Yeah, I was thinking that it was maybe quite younger that she started using, but maybe I'm wrong. It would be interesting to know that, and I wonder if any of that stuff's going to come out into the trial. You know, like when did she actually start drinking? When did she, when were people first able to report that they saw that she was abusing alcohol and being abusive to other people? Could have started really early. I have a theory.
Yeah, I'm just checking out. I think she was about 42 at the time of that incident, so she would have gone
about
by her
35.
Yeah,
when she gave birth.
But like we all know, right? It's unlikely to just suddenly become a major problem. There's most likely going to be a few years prior to that, where it's escalating.
Yeah.
Usually.
Okay. Well, that's something for you to find out. Like when did Sarah's substance abuse, or when did Sarah's substance use begin? Because many of us, probably in the chat and everywhere else, we have experimented with alcohol at various points in time, and we were probably not of legal drinking age. But sometimes we become teenage alcoholics, which I don't know. There's a couple of things that I have been thinking about that makes me think that she may have been a teenage alcoholic. And I don't know that anybody's talked about that sort of thing, but there's just a couple of things that I've noticed that make me think that she may have been. Now, I don't know for sure that she is, but I'll send the Rabid Dog on the trail to find that out.
Well, give me your thoughts just now if you want to share why you think so.
Do you have the video, the body cam video where she's, they first come to her place and she's interacting with the police officers?
I do.
Yeah, I mean, that really for me sort of made me think a couple of different things, and I don't know. I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you said I have everything, and I know everything about Sarah Boone.
I
So
do. I'll bring that up.
I'm
Yeah.
challenging you.
I'll bring that up.
Yeah.
Definitely. Just prior to doing that, I have slightly bad news for anyone that's following this case and is looking forward to the trial starting. Just like Jackie says there, we need to confirm regarding the trial date. She had heard or seen two people today saying in another chat she's got a new lawyer and it's now delayed to November, right? So that's frustrating. So I'm just going to pretend that that's not the case and it's gone ahead on July the 25th.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I'm with you there. Yeah.
Oh, hey, Snoop. Good to see you, Helen. Jackie. Oh, Irish. You caught alive.
Yeah, such a horrible death. And you have some interesting information about possibly what could have transpired around Jorge's death. I don't know, a lot of people call him George, but apparently his name is Jorge.
Oh, really? Well, she was pronouncing it wrong now. She would say
It's
George.
interesting. I was watching it used to be the Fear Files, but now it's like Beyond Evil or something like that. That channel with that guy, and he has that like creepy voice, but it's really smooth. And he the whole time he was pronouncing it Jorge, but I don't know. Jorge is what I'm gonna pronounce it. But yeah, I just really feel bad.
You would think that she would know, right? Maybe he just chose to say it that way. Oh.
She apparently had some conflicts with his family, right? She was the blue-eyed murderer, the blue-eyed monster or something like that. And so maybe she did it out of spite. I'm just going to call him George because his family calls him Jorge. And it's going to be interesting to see that trial. I can handle it if it is in November, but I'm looking forward to it being not this Monday, but next Monday.
Yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed. I'm just going to get that video. Give me a second.
I don't like that, Ed. I don't like it, Ed. I don't like it. Ed's saying summer is ruined. It's not July 25th. It was in the comments that she got a new lawyer and delay.
I don't like that.
Me neither. Oh, God.
I know. I didn't mean to play that.
No, it's okay. I mean, I can handle it, but I was like expecting the body cam. It's like, Sarah, I can't breathe, babe. I can't breathe. Oh, my God. Poor Jorge.
Oh, it doesn't bear thinking about, does it?
Ugh.
Right. So
yeah, why?
So,
I mean,
so you're thinking something about this body cam gave you a clue that she had a problem for a long time, right?
Yeah. Okay. So what if you play it and you listen to her speak? I want you to think about how old she sounds. That's all. I mean, the other day when I was listening to it, I'm just like, oh my gosh. And
I know what you mean already, actually. Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you play it again, maybe it'll become clear. Like, how old does she actually sound when she talks?
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. We'll take care of that for you, okay? I had a cigarette, but I'll get it for you, okay? Wait 1 second, okay? I really need something to drink. Okay, well, I got my Dr. Pepper on the counter. Okay, we'll take care of you. Give me 1 second.
No big of a phone there.
It's Armand, yes.
I got a lot
I put the time that you called it. Yeah, that's the time you called it? Okay, perfect. You can't go back inside. What's going on? Who is he to you? Boyfriend?
Yes, for like 3.5 years.
What happened?
He and I, we drank last night. We had a
Can you pass it to the around to the FD guys? Stop. They need to sign that for sure.
They're with me. So
they're not leaving.
I think I'll walk around.
No. Each of them has to. So this might be a real thing, but each of them has to put their name.
Normally I just put everybody.
Yeah, you call her smoking.
What's going on?
Sorry,
I just got here, so fill me in.
No problem. Like,
Yeah,
you and I put the puzzle together. We've been doing some artwork together.
You are putting a puzzle together?
Yes, we have a puzzle that we started in there.
Okay.
We've been doing art, trying to take the stuff off the wall to make new art put up there, like having a good time with one another. But we're drinking. We had a bottle of wine last night.
Okay.
So then it's like we decided to play hide and seek, right?
Okay.
So he gets in the suitcase. Okay.
Who is this guy?
That's my ex-husband, my former husband.
How did he live here with you guys?
No, I called him over here.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
So then he came over here.
Here, let's talk in private, okay?
I called you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I tried giving him the problem is I fell asleep.
When did you do CPR?
This morning when I found it.
Before you called?
Yes.
1 o'clock right now.
I really see it there, yeah. Kind of a panicky sort of frustration, more than frustration, right? She's it's literally like a panic attack, right? I know a lot of people have said to me she doesn't look stressed enough, maybe, or panicked enough, or in enough shock. I actually think she is in shock.
Mhm. Yeah, she
It's
is.
just, it's. I think there's something about the fact that you have to remember, right, that she is an alcoholic, right, and for her to, as far as we know, having gone for a few hours without alcohol, unless she was able to top herself up, she's dealing with that at the same time, right? That's going to do all sorts of things to your metabolism and your nerves, right?
Yeah, but the way that she's talking though, and even the way she's dressed, it just looks like really super, like she's stuck at a certain age. And I'm not going to say the age that I think it is until like a little later, but I just sort of want everybody to listen to what it is. But it's not her chronological age. It's just like very much younger. And it kind of sunk into me when I was driving home and I was listening to it, and I was just like, that reminds me of one of my or more of my clients that I've worked with. And I've worked with a lot of younger clients. So that's all I'll say about that right now. But yeah, that's.
Yeah. And just on that, there's a part coming up when she's bringing up her worries about the family. And this was something that was also noticed by a couple of body behavior specialists, which I'm going to show later. They point out how childish her mannerisms are,
Oh, okay.
So that's something that would underline your point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She seems to me to be stuck at a certain age. And okay, so Antimone says, I see a teenager, but yeah, what age? What do you guys think? It'd be interesting to see. I have a number in my mind, but we'll see what you guys think as well.
Well, I did make the point because I think it's apparent in the interrogation as well, what you're pointing out, I did say that she kind of seems to have what I would term as the little princess syndrome. Yeah.
Mhm.
That she's used to getting her way. She's used to winning arguments, and she's used to not getting too much pushback, I think. It'd be interesting to see what her background's like, her upbringing. But I get
I'd
that.
love to see that. I'd love to see that. I mean,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, Antimone, that's my number. That's totally the number I was thinking of.
Wow.
She is like, I'm sorry to shoot my wad early. Oh my gosh. Yes, 16. Like these 16-year-olds that are kind of like sassing back their parents. That's exactly the way she seems to me to be about the cops. Like she is just like, but this is what happened, and he was dead, and I mean, that's how a 16-year-old would handle the situation. Like not a 40-something person, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's just my theory. But thank you, Antimone, for validating me.
That's crazy. I should have some kind of sound effect, like a buzzer or something, That's
well,
crazy.
I don't have any noise. I have a couple of sound bowls back there, but that wouldn't probably do the trick here. I have a whistle in my purse, but it's in the other room. So
I just want to ask Alexandria on chat. have I got the wrong person? But was it yourself that said you were thinking about heading to the trial of this? I know you're asking if the date has been changed. Well, there's rumours that it has been changed. Jackie, that's in chat here. It was you. Awesome. You could be our, our own private reporter. That's so cool.
Yeah, Rabid, you could start your own law tube. I mean, you could have, let's see, it was Alexandria being in the insider and then
Yeah.
reporting afterwards and then streaming the trial. This is why I need it to start not this Monday, but next, like the 25th. Can we just have it start then, please?
I know, because she's been incarcerated already for 2.5 years, Tracy.
I
Right?
know.
I mean,
know.
I'm not saying she obviously deserves to be, right? Because at the very least, she should be charged with manslaughter, which I think is a 10 to 15-year sentence, right? But God, it needs to. It's been prolonged
Mhm.
continuously.
Yeah, whatever happened to a speedy trial, right? Whatever happened to
Yeah,
that speedy trial? Of course, her attorney did quit on her, and I don't know the story behind why the attorney quit on her. Sounds like it was a privately hired attorney that just said that I've got some sort of a conflict of interest or something that was going on, and they quit. But then they didn't let Sarah know about it, which was kind of
she had to find out from her ex-husband.
right.
And we might be going over that a bit anyway, because you're hoping to maybe do a little bit of analysis of her handwriting,
Yeah.
which is coming from the letter that she wrote to the judge. I had a look there earlier actually, so I've got a few ideas as to what you might be coming up with there. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. For sure. Yes, I have been trained to do graphology, and so I do know a lot about it. And it's interesting just to look at her handwriting for sure.
Yeah, well, it could be cool if I give you my amateur quick
Ooh,
idea, and then we'll see how far out I am, right?
yeah, that'd be great. Let's do that
Yeah.
for sure. But we're thinking so some people think 16, so teenager, and just the way she keeps asking for her Dr. Pepper, like, can I get my Dr. Pepper? Can I get my Dr. Pepper? And then like the cop will ask her something and she'll like no, like that's what teenagers do all the time. Like, oh my God, we were just like doing
Yeah.
puzzles and we just drank a bottle of wine and then he was dead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That
I
was a
know,
little
right?
exaggerated, but that's kind of what I was listening to the other day.
Yeah. Well, that's the case, right? I mean, if you take away the tragedy of it, it's like a dark comedy to watch her, especially in the interrogation. She's even more so like that. When she's failing to articulate exactly what she means by the fact that it wasn't intentional, right? She just cannot get the words out, right? And she's expecting them just to understand, right? But they can't understand because of what they're seeing on the video and her description of what occurred. And her frustration is very childlike, isn't it? Hey,
Yeah,
Welsh
I was
lady.
just I was just typing something out to Irish Eyes. I mean, I think this is what she said, but like when they told her to do CPR on him or like to do the chest compressions, she was just like, oh, he just gurgled, like, ew. It's like, so that was what I was listening to the other day and thinking like, oh my goodness, like she's just like a child, like a teenager, like an oh my
Mm.
God, like what we used to call in California like a valley girl. And there was actually a song called Valley Girls, and it was about these,
These types
California
of, yeah.
valley girls, like was like, oh my God, like, oh gross, and she sort of
Mhm.
sounds like that. That's a little exaggerated, but
I know what you
but
mean. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So that's what kind of makes me think, because what happens with when you mention substance abuse is that if you start using alcohol or drugs at an early age, there becomes a wall that comes up if you continue using it. And then what happens is that your emotional and psychological development is halted at that age that you start using. And that makes me wonder if she started using drugs and alcohol at an early age, like say 16. Now, that's not uncommon for most of us. We can start using them, or we can experiment with them, but not all of us are going to be dependent upon them. Some of us get through college and high school and stuff, but some of us become dependent upon them. And I just really wonder if that might be going on in this case. What do you think?
Yeah. I think I hear you right in saying, as long as it's just at the level of being what we would term a social drinker, right? Someone that drinks for particular occasions. They're not, like you say, they're not dependent upon it, right? They don't need it to socialize. They don't need it to get through life.
Yeah, well, because most kids do experiment with some sort of drugs, or some people smoke pot, some people will, do some mushrooms, some people steal some of their parents' alcohol or whatever, whatever they do. Some kids don't at all. But it is very common for kids in the United States to do that. So I just wonder if maybe she did it at 16, which is typical, but she just never stopped doing it, or she grew dependent upon it, because it does seem that it just looks like from her presentation that her development may have stopped emotionally at a certain age, because she does appear to present herself as very much younger than her 42-year-old self. It seems like 16 to me.
That chimes with me. That really does sound like you're hitting the mark there. I get that. I get that impression, absolutely. And it chimes as well with what the ex-husband said, is he thought that she really started to have major problems with her intake once they had the kid. She was feeling maybe a bit repressed or shackled in some sense. And that was her perhaps not being able to grow up in a sense, living a little bit of a delusion.
Yeah, especially if he says it accelerated, then for sure, right? But we really, again, without people coming forward and talking about what her development was like, what her home life was like, we really can't know for sure. But that's my working theory. And I don't think it's a, sort of an outlandish sort of conspiracy theory. I'm just saying that from the presentation,
From what we
that's right
know,
there.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And that a picture can tell a bit of a story. There's truth to that, right? And look at her there, right? Now that's obviously 6 or 7 years before this incident, and she looks a lot different, and I think it's all over her physically, the problem. So it's going by the picture, it's unlikely that she was drinking to the level that she was subsequently, I think.
Yeah, something could have triggered her. And I don't know what made them get a divorce, but I also know that there was abuse with her and Jorge. And so there was a period of time between when she had her child, and then things went wrong in her marriage, and then they got divorced, but still remained friends and had this whole 50-50 relationship as far as the kid. And then she got with Jorge, which, and he was apparently had a lot of trouble with the law as well. And so she's probably carried some resentment about that. So there's almost always trauma. There's almost always trauma, right? Whether it's childhood trauma or if it's adult trauma, there's usually trauma. So
Jack is saying it could be possibly postnatal, perhaps. Who knows?
Yeah, that happens.
It's possible, right?
Well, yeah, there was that case of that lady in Texas who drowned her 5 kids in the bathtub. It was a long time ago. Andrea Yates, I believe, is who it was. That'd be crazy if I just remembered her name. But I just remember, like, how could you do that? And she had said that, I had postpartum depression. And sometimes even medications that you get put on because of depression can cause you to do things you wouldn't normally do. I don't know if she was on any medications or if her mental health, this will be really interesting, Rabid, if her mental health, if she had been, sort of diagnosed, if her mental health issues will come out in court.
They're going to have to, and I'm almost certain she was taking medication for both depression and anxiety, and we all know the danger of mixing that with alcohol intake, right?
Mm-hmm.
The potential danger.
Well, if you play this thing a little bit further, you can kind of see or hear. It seems to me, and I don't know that she was bipolar or even manic, but it seems to me that she was a bit manic because she has a little bit of hypomania. So hypomania being like you've had a couple too many cups of coffee, mania being like let me get on the roof, I'm going to climb on the roof and see if I can fly down, and that sort of mania that you do really super crazy things, or like people who are on meth. But she seems to have a little bit of pressured speech and hypomania, and then that whole childlike thing. So I wonder if she does have an untreated case of bipolar disorder, and that maybe she should have been on mood stabilizers instead of anxiety meds and depression. I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist. But sometimes people don't go to psychiatrists and they don't get a full psychiatric evaluation. They just go to their medical doctors and say, I'm depressed, I'm anxious. And then they say, here, script, and then they send them off on their way. So,
yeah. And just for anyone that's not come across yourself before here, I'm sure most people have, you have your own channel, Calm in the Chaos. It's also a podcast, isn't it? And you're a licensed mental health counselor. Is that right?
Yep, in Washington State. And I had the podcast first in 2019. And then when the pandemic hit in 2020, I decided to go on YouTube and do video podcasts as well. So I've been around a little while, and just like to highlight other people and their talents, strengths, and gifts. And every so often I'll go on a rant on my channel, but in a live stream. And it's just trying to have some fun. I'm in my last 5 years of practice, so I'm really trying to figure out how I'm going to usher in new mental health counselors into the field. So if anybody in your chat is interested in becoming a mental health counselor, or even a person who works at a crisis line, you can help. We are in a mental health crisis right now in the United States. I don't know what it's like where you live, Rabid, but we need people.
All over the West, I think, Tracy.
Yeah.
All over the modern West. I think it's the number one issue, mental health, personally.
Yeah, I agree. So there's old Sarah. Oh, bless her little heart, huh? Like with her pink short. Is this her pink shorts video? Is this the one where she's wearing her little pink shorts?
And Tracy, believe it or not, right? This is unbelievable to me. She turned up the next day to the interrogation wearing the exact same T-shirt. Unless she's someone that buys, 10 of the same T-shirt, how some people do that. But I highly doubt it.
Oh, so this shirt that she's wearing here, I did not even catch that.
She wore the same T-shirt to the interrogation. I promise you. It's got the
Holy
exact same design on the front.
What's crazy is I have a pair of those hot pink shorts, almost exactly like that. I think I still have them. I should have worn them today, damn it. But they're somewhere. But they were really super popular back in the early 90s. That's when I bought them.
Oh.
So I wonder, gosh, how old would she have been in the early 90s? Oh my gosh. Now I'm starting to analyze her dress. 1990s. If she's 42 now, how?
Oh, no. She was 42 at the time, so that was 2.5 years ago.
Okay, well,
so
yeah.
She'd be about 45 now, I think.
Okay, so if she was 42 at the time, though, how old was she in 1992? Is anybody a math sleuth in your audience? This is why God invented Excel.
Should be a teenager.
Okay. I wonder. I'm just going to do this because I'm just going to, because I'm a geek and I love Excel. I'm going to mute myself so you can talk. Hold on just a second.
Okay. Hey Shirley, I caught your message earlier. You now agree that she forgot about the video. Yeah, I really think she did. However, I don't think she forgot how cruel she was being to him. I think that came back to her pretty sharpish.
Yeah, I
Hey,
wish I had my
Melanie.
husband here to figure this out. But yeah, if she was 42 in 1990, then yeah, I mean, it would be pretty close to the age of 16.
Mm.
And I had the same exact shorts. And the other thing is that when we start to talk about her handwriting, I used to write a lot in the same way. I mean, my handwriting looked a lot like hers. It's so interesting. My
Ah, right.
16-year-old handwriting.
Yeah.
Not like I'm
Okay.
gonna go
I
like
think I'm
lock
on the
somebody
money
in a
then.
not like I'm gonna like zip somebody up in a suitcase. In fact, we've got some suitcases here, but like one of them doesn't zip up, and I've got a lot of papers in one of them. But we haven't traveled in so long. I would never ask somebody to like get in a suitcase. I mean, what the actual F is that?
Well,
would you get into a suitcase,
right?
Rabid, if somebody asked you?
No. But
Definitely not now.
It also speaks to the point you're making, though, about this childishness, this immaturity. You know, that's quite a ridiculous game to come up with, right? Because it's not the first time that they did that kind of thing, you know. But anyway, do you want to see more of this just to have a look into
Yeah,
her
just
behavior?
a little bit more,
Yeah.
just to see, because I think she starts to say, yeah, just to kind of drive the point home and
Yeah.
see if anybody has any other thoughts about it. But that's my whole thing.
Okay.
I was awake, but I actually got out of the bed at like 12:30ish, whatever. So I came downstairs, and I was like, oh, he's in the suitcase still. And that's when I found him, and I took him out, and I tried doing CPR, and then I called him, and then I called you guys.
Did he get here before the fire department got here?
Who?
Your husband or your ex-husband?
Yes.
Okay. Where did he live at?
Right down the street.
Okay. So you were praying, and who dipped him up in?
I did, but then I fell asleep.
Okay. Well, you're okay. I wasn't here. I'm just trying to figure out what happened.
I fell asleep, so I don't know if he suffocated or like had an aneurysm or a heart attack or what.
What kind of medical conditions does he have?
None that I know of.
Nothing that you know of.
None that I know of.
No.
All we had was a bottle of wine. Literally, just a bottle of wine.
Okay.
Doing puzzle artwork. Then we decided to play hide and seek.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that happened.
Okay.
So I don't know if he had a heart attack or what in there. Like, I don't know what happened.
So how long were you doing CPR on him prior to you calling 911? You tried that all morning?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I called him while I was doing CPR.
What time did you start? Probably in your ballpark? Here, let me fill this deputy in, okay?
Please, may I have my Dr. Pepper? I am so caught mouth right now.
Ma'am, and you can't talk to him until we get done with this, okay?
Just don't leave, okay, Brian?
I'm so sorry about that. I thought I was muted, dude.
Okay. So that was more of the same, pretty much, wasn't it? Very.
I got all excited. And plus, I figured out the age that she would have been in 1992, which was 15.
Okay.
So yeah, it sounded like she was trying to explain to her parents, like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why? So that was perfect. That just kind of drove my theory home. And I don't know if it's true, but that's kind of what I'm working with right now, as far as, you know.
I see it as well. And I think you're going to see more of it here if you watch her. The way she's got her arms around herself, you know, trying to make herself small. She's terrified at the repercussions here.
Office, and he'll have what's called an autopsy. Yeah. That'll be first thing tomorrow morning. I'll know a lot, hopefully a lot more tomorrow morning as far as him. But I cannot, there's no way I could say how, why. So just by looking at him, like, why is he purple? Oh, that's normal when someone passes away. Lividity returns.
As soon as the heart stops beating, the blood starts to settle to the lowest points of the body, and then it becomes very pronounced. So that's almost public too. It happens every night.
I'm like really scared. I want you guys to know that.
Look around. You have all these deputies here, so while we're here, nothing's going to happen to you. Before we go and make any notifications, you'll have plenty of time to leave or do what you need to do. Whatever you need to do. Okay? And we can talk about that more in length. But yeah, it's not going to be a surprise.
Real quick, and then, but I don't this was totally not intentional. That's what I'm scared about too.
Yeah, she does look like she's praying, right? That's a
God,
kind
those
of
shorts.
pleading gesture. I know.
Yeah, it looks like she's like praying. Remember the whole with the Watts, how he did this thing over his head like that, like he was getting arrested. Like she's just like doing this thing, like, oh my gosh, please let me get out of this.
Yeah, that's
Well,
I mean, she's like 7 years old there, and she's terrified. She's in big trouble,
Yeah, maybe she just regressed. We do that in hypnotherapy a lot. Like she just regressed to her 7-year-old self. Interesting. No, and I love the way that people are seeing different ages, and I think that we need to do that a little bit more with criminals, because sometimes this kind of stuff presents, and then we can ask, so what was going on with you at 7 years old that you didn't get and that you needed? And what was going on with you at 16 that you didn't get and you needed? And from a psychological perspective and treatment, then being able to help the person out to figure out what was going on. So the anger she felt at Jorge, and I know you're going to say something about the suitcase and where the suitcase was placed.
Yeah.
It could have been something that was not even about Jorge at all. It could have been something that happened to her when she was 16 or 7, and she was just sort of acting it out.
Yeah. That'll be interesting to think about. Antimony was making that point that almost definitely, if you look into her past, her childhood, you're going to find some form of abuse. I don't know. Are you aware of Antimony Layne? She's another true crime creator.
I am actually not. Is she in your chat right now? I know I see Melanie here.
She is. She was a little bit earlier, but
oh,
she
that's
was really,
right.
She was really praising you. She was praising you, Tracy, saying you're fantastic, a fantastic guest, and she'd like
that's
to.
the one that said it about the 16. Yes, I remember her now. I know I'm not familiar with her channel. I do see the question with Melanie, though, that she says, why does she want them to know she's scared? That's a good question. Like, why would Sarah feel that it's really important to let the police know that she's scared?
Well, simply because I think she is genuinely terrified. She's genuine in the fact that she knows that they're going to think that she intentionally did this. So those two detectives in front of her right now are God to her in this moment. They hold the power, right? They are the only protection she has. And something else to think about that came out in this in some of these interviews outside the apartment is that she doesn't actually have anyone. Both her parents had passed away. Her grandparents had passed away. She had two brothers. One was in jail and the other was a Marine that she didn't see regularly. And she makes the point that she has literally no one. She had nowhere to go because her apartment's now a crime scene. So these two detectives, who else is going to protect her?
I
She's
didn't
looking
catch
for
that part.
Yeah, she's and I'm not giving her more sympathy than I think she deserves, but she, regardless whether you think this is second degree or manslaughter, she is an incredibly troubled person, right? And you can still be responsible for something terrible and be a victim at the same time, you know.
Mhm.
I do see her as being a victim.
Yeah, there's almost always trauma, and we can always see things in context. And then the behavior, though, is what gets us locked up behind bars. And
Yeah.
so we all have our trauma, we all have our past and all that stuff, but it's what we do in our behaviors that gets us either locked up behind bars or able to roam free around the nations. And I hate to put it that simplistically, but that's kind of the way I think. I try not to be really too complex about this stuff and try and break it down to the basic stuff. Yeah, she could be troubled and, like you said, do something in the heat of the moment or without awareness if she was too intoxicated to remember, or if there was a trigger, whatever. The behavior is going to be what actually puts her behind bars or not.
Oh yeah, I mean, we have to have, I mean, regardless of how much of a victim someone is, right? Regardless of how terrible an action in someone's past has led them to be the person that they are now, they still have to be punished, right? Because that's the society has to be protected, right? But it doesn't mean that we can't have sympathy for these people, right? It doesn't mean that we can't investigate what went wrong with these people. And in an ideal world, try and help them, you know, while they are behind bars.
Well, yeah, exactly. So if she does get a sentence of some sort, which it's looking like at least manslaughter is going to be on the table, and probably she pled not guilty, right?
Yeah, she's been charged with second-degree murder. We don't know if
Oh,
there's, because sometimes they can add on other charges, you know, as a kind of safety net. So we don't know if she's also been charged with manslaughter in case the jury don't convict on second degree.
so then
But
maybe she will receive some sort of rehabilitation while she's in, and it's I don't know how effective that will be. Who knows? So gosh, no, we won't know. Maybe not even until November what happens. This is so crazy. I was really looking forward to next Monday.
I know a lot of us were.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just play a little bit more of this here, and then there's another interview that I want to go through, which is the last piece of information on this case, really.
We'll have all the answers. We'll have a lot more answers tomorrow after medical exam. Like you said, what you're seeing here is harmony. This is us coming out.
Protocol.
Yeah, his age, no real medical history that we know of. For him to have passed away, we come out.
I know. Yeah.
We come out and do an investigation. Medical examiner's office, we send these people out. This is what we do. If he was 75 years old and had a history of heart condition, we wouldn't be here.
I just don't know I don't know what it is.
Exactly. And that's what we're here to find out. We're just here to get the answers. The answers that you want, the answers that his family's going to want.
I really want to see my son. I really need to see my son. Well, I mean, I know I can't go anywhere, but... Right. So, do I just, sit out here and wait for you guys?
If you would, yes. Please.
Does anybody else having to show up, or everybody's here that needs to be here?
My team's here that needs to be here. The medical examiners will show up when we call them, but we're not ready for them yet. So they're going to take him, they're going to take some photos, take him, but that's towards the end of it. And they'll be called well in advance when we're ready for them, but we're not ready for them at this point. So we won't be calling them quite yet. Okay. So like I said, I got to go do some paperwork. They're going to chat with some people, and then we're going to come back and talk to you if you're okay with that. Yes, so just give us a little bit more time. Like I said, I need to go and do that, and he's going to go do something.
But do you guys tell his family, today or after tomorrow?
We have to.
It's the law.
We have to go make contact with the family.
Yeah.
They have to be notified.
Once our investigation is pretty much complete here, once we leave here, we will be going to...
But again, you'll know. You're not going to just go and do it without you knowing. You'll know. to talk to you prior to doing anything like that.
But how, I mean, I understand what you guys and how you do it, and, you know, so, but like, what do you just tell him? What do you tell his parents? Like, what's the reason passed away?
We tell them what we know at that point.
Yeah.
We tell them the truth.
And that we're going to be waiting for the autopsy results. And I will be at the autopsy in the morning. And hopefully the doctor will be able to give me some of what they think and see.
Yeah. We'll give them their number. They can contact them and get it from them.
But yeah, they're gonna know what we're here, what we're investigating, and that they're gonna think I killed him.
Why would they think that?
They always have said that. They've always have said that.
What have they
I
said?
told you it's because I'm the blue-eyed white dragon. That's what they call me. Because they don't want him with me. So he's basically just not really been around his family because he chooses me over them. Even after I've encouraged him numerous times to go over there and see his family. Where they've never accepted me. And everybody my ass. So, especially his sister. He had to pull her off me one time.
Do you have somewhere safe that you can go tonight?
Both my parents are deceased. My grandparents are deceased. My aunt and uncle are deceased. I got nobody. I have a brother that's in the Marines, and I've got another one that's in jail.
Unless your brother that's Marine, is he local?
No. Well, he in Altamont, but I think he's doing whatever Marine thing he's doing. But the only way...
Your phone's inside, correct?
Yes.
Does he have a phone?
No.
He doesn't have a phone.
He uses your phone. Yeah, we did it
Share
together.
phone.
So the only place I could go is over to Brian's house. So I don't think I'll have a problem with it. So,
well, like I said, we're not going to leave here. If you do not feel safe, you're not going to leave here with you not feeling safe. Because then we're liable.
And then his ex-wife in Philadelphia.
Well, she's in Philadelphia, I guess.
There's going to be a funeral.
Right. That you're talking like days and
No,
I'm talking right here, right now. So let me get my investigation. Let me go do this paperwork that I'm talking about because we can go back and forth about what if like all day long.
I know, sorry.
I promise we're not going to leave here for you and you not feel safe. Okay?
What's going on?
Please. I don't even know what to tell you.
It's okay. Just take a seat, have some water, give us a few minutes, let us do our thing, and we'll be back to talk to you, I promise, okay?
Like you said, you need us again, just let them know.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So the obvious question, Tracy, is kind of what Snoop has said here, right? She's not even crying over losing her love. It does seem to be her terror over the repercussions regarding his family is more on her mind, you know? She's even allowing herself to talk about the funeral a matter of hours after finding him. Like, how can you explain that?
Yeah, nobody can really tell what he would do in a situation like that. It's just so random, especially, you know, whatever happened. You wake up, whether you did it intentionally or not, how are you supposed to act in front of the camera, right?
Yeah.
But you would expect a little bit more remorse, like, oh my gosh, like this is like a horrible mistake, or maybe some taking responsibility. And now my boyfriend is gone, and what am I going to do? I don't have any family.
Yeah.
It would have been more like that. But she's really very concerned about what's going to happen to her and what the family is going to think, because they think she's the blue-eyed white dragon.
Yeah.
Oh,
and what was your take on the 911 call? I think I remember you bringing that up. You had something to say on that.
Well, it sounded kind of the same thing. She was telling the person that was on the other end of the phone, like, no, he's purple. He's like he's in a suitcase. It's like, and it just seemed to me that she was just very like, I don't know what to do. Somebody needs to help me. And I don't know why the first call was made to her ex-husband before she made a call to 911, but it does seem to be like, oh my gosh, I need help. Like I'm sort of a helpless kid here.
But
And
here's the thing as well. Now, this has been a little bit misreported in the media. I don't think intentionally, just genuine mistakes. It wasn't her that called him first. Her ex-husband was trying to call him 4 or 5 times, and she, in her own words, chose to ignore the calls, right? While, according to her, she was upstairs in bed. Then, according to her, in one story, she went downstairs at 12:30. In another story, it was around about 11. So we don't really know. But regardless, she found him in the suitcase. Now, she didn't choose to call him or call 911, which would be the first thing you would imagine you would do, right? The first time that she spoke to her ex-husband was when she finally answered his call, which was after she had found him. And then she told him what had happened and that he was dead. She knew instantly he was dead. So he said, she asked him to go over. So he went over. And it was only at that point that she called him back to check that he was on his way. And then it was him having to tell her to call 911. You know?
Again, it just seems like she needed a parent. I really do wonder at what age her parents died. And she's lost her grandparents and her parents. And maybe that's one of the reasons why it just seems like she's so directionless and maybe so, not emotionally mature. So there's always a reason. There's always some sort of an explanation for behavior, right?
Exactly, right. Yeah, there's always going to be some genesis to what makes people go wrong, you know.
I wonder, Alexandria, I wonder if that's one of the reasons why she wanted that Dr. Pepper, because I'm telling you, I think Dr. Pepper is probably one of the best cures for a hangover. Seriously.
Yeah.
It perks you up just like, you water a plant and it's just like, oh, I'm back.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's why she was continuing to ask for, fluids. She was even asking for water at one point. Like, if you're not going to give me my Dr. Pepper that's on the counter, then just give me some water. So
Yeah,
she may have been really hungover.
Yeah, dehydrated, I guess,
Yeah.
Hey, Essie, how are you?
Yeah. You got a lot of people in here. A lot of people I haven't seen in a while. Yeah. It's kind of nice to see people.
So I'm going to play another interview, Tracy. I don't know if you're aware of this, but it's I actually played this in a previous live that I did, but I messed up the whole live where I was covering Madeleine McCann and then a little bit of Sarah Boone, but I messed up some of the dates on Madeleine McCann, so I had to pull it and put it up again. So it works out better this way anyway for this, so I can put this information on a video just for this case. So just before I play that, like, where are you in terms of, do you have an opinion of whether it should be first, second degree or manslaughter? What's your thinking regarding that?
Well, yeah. So my first thought is that she got really drunk, and sometimes when you get really drunk, you get triggered about things that used to happen. You're fine when your filter is on, but when you drink, sometimes your filter is off. And I think something was happening between the arts and crafts and the Chardonnay and the puzzles and all that other fun stuff that was happening. I think she said they had sex or something like that too. So there was some fun stuff going on, but there was something that got her. And I think that when the suitcase happened, something about like her having power over him just sort of locked in. And she went with it. And then this is what I think. This is what I hope happened. Because I wouldn't hope that somebody who says that I'm in love with you is going to just let you rot in a suitcase because he was like, Sarah, Sarah. And she was just like, that's my name. Don't wear it out. You know, I would hope that she would eventually let him out. Right. But apparently she must have been like so drunk that she fell asleep for hours and then it was way too late. And then the damage had been done. But, you know, a rational person would have said, like, listen, you know, like, okay, I've had power for long enough. I've had power for 5 minutes. He's still saying, Sarah, Sarah, you know, let him out, you know, but she didn't do that. I think that's going to be trouble for her. And so that might be the difference between manslaughter and second degree. She didn't premeditate it. She didn't plan it to happen, but she didn't prevent what she could have prevented from happening to him by unzipping him. You know, so I don't know. At first I thought it was just going to be like accidental, like manslaughter sort of thing, but I'm thinking more, it's not premeditated, but is that second degree? Is that what the next level up is from manslaughter? That's what I think.
I think in general, it tends to hinge upon premeditation between second degree and manslaughter, but it's different for every state. So according to the way that the law's written in Florida, it's more about whether she acted with disregard for his life. If she did so, then that would be second degree, according to the way the law's written. So I think it hinges upon that. Now,
But what does premeditated mean though? Like, is this premeditated mean like a minute before I decide, no, I'm not going to unzip your ass and I'm going to go to sleep? Is that premeditated?
well, that's why it's such a great area, because she was so inebriated as well. You know, the argument would be how rational was she? How compromised was she at that point? She's dug herself in a hole because she said that they just shared a bottle and a half of wine. I think she was lying about that for the reasons I mentioned earlier. I think she was being defensive and insecure about that, right? Completely deluding herself to the actual real problem that she was sitting in.
Mhm. Yeah, but I definitely sense some power issues there, like based on
Of
the past
course,
abuse. And then she finally had power and she's just like,
of course,
I'm holding on to this, but I don't know that she actually wanted to hold on to it as much to kill him, but
to kill
she
him.
did want she wanted him to know who was boss, and then she just took it a little bit too far, or her, you know, her faculties just failed her and she just fell asleep, and it was like, oh no, look what happened.
Yeah.
So
In
ugh.
terms, like you were mentioning, what maybe happened during the day and things, it's what we know is that they had a phone call, a video phone call, I think, with George's relatives. It was his brother and his nieces and nephews, I think. And his brother, in an interview, said that Sarah was shouting in the background because she wanted to get on the phone herself to call her brother. But she was also bringing up the fact that George had choked her at some point in the past, saying, does your brother know that you tried to choke me out?" And in the interview, the brother says that Sarah sounded crazy in the background, but he also said that George was calm, didn't sound drunk. Okay, so that was at about 7:30 p.m. The videos that she took were about 11:15.
Ooh, a long
And
time.
what we know as well is that a neighbor had heard a crashing sound next door from the stairs, from the staircase. And on a few previous lives, we were, you know, wondering if that was actually her putting him in the suitcase, or him going in the suitcase upstairs, and then she threw him down the stairs in the suitcase. And if that's the case, then it's a no-brainer for second degree, really.
it would make sense, because when you think about like how having fun in games and Chardonnay or whatever and puzzles and playtime artwork downstairs, we go upstairs to the bedroom and have a little extra fun. And then maybe we're into BDSM or whatever, and we put somebody in the suitcase and they're upstairs. Instead of, I mean, the suitcase was downstairs when we found it, but who knows if that's what happened upstairs and then she kicked it downstairs. That is so disturbing to me.
Oh, it's heinous.
Oh my God. Oh, geez. And then to film it, because she filmed it downstairs. So then she would have had to have kicked it down the stairs and like thump, 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 thump. And he ended up there, and he was still alive, obviously, because then she went downstairs with her phone, and he's like, Sarah, Sarah. And she's like doing the whole like, gosh, my leg, don't wear it out.
And you're going to hear it from this interview, because we were wondering what time it took place, this noise, you know, just to try and get it in context. So the neighbor gives this information here as well, but just pay attention to how certain he seems to be that it's something really loud. I mean, he mentions the walls pretty much vibrating next door.
Today's date is February 27, 2020. The time now is approximately 17:48 hours. This is in reference to Orange County case number 20-017904. I'm currently located at 4748 France Layne, apartment. France Court? You sure?
That's what I always park up. Yeah, because you can see it on the sign over there on the 4749.
Okay, France Court.
Yeah, it's weird. For some reason, all of the signs are on the opposites, are on the wrong side.
On the wrong, yeah, the further
that's
side.
That's apartment 8 there, and the sign's right there on that one.
Gotcha. Okay. France Court. Apartment, the Tealwood Parks apartment. And I'm speaking with, can you state your name?
It's Brandon Nuts.
And your date of... Okay. And you reside at this apartment, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you said that you've been living here since January of 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. On Sunday, which would have been...
The 4th?
Let's just double check. Sunday was the 23rd.
23rd.
Were you home that day?
I would have come home a little late that evening, but I would have been here around 8, 9 o'clock. I would have gotten in around 8 or 9 o'clock.
PM?
Yes.
Okay. And so your apartment is right next to apartment number 3. Does your apartment share walls with theirs?
My bedroom shares the wall with their the lower half of their apartment.
The lower half, okay. Do you recall hearing anything coming from apartment 3 while you were, after you had gotten home?
Around 10:30 or 11 o'clock, there was a very loud crashing sound where I believe, I'm not sure, I haven't been in their apartment like my roommate, but I believe it's the location of the staircase.
Okay, so
a little bit above.
A very loud, you said crashing sound?
Yeah, like it sounded like something had been like falling down the stairs. Because it started up high and then it ended low.
Okay. And when you heard the loud crashing sound, did you hear any voices? Like, could you make out if you heard a male or female's voice?
I couldn't hear anything, no.
Okay. Is that normal for you to hear noises coming from their apartment?
Not loud. But
not that loud?
Not that loud.
Okay.
But I'll regularly hear like thudding sounds, like stuff being like slammed against the wall or something like that.
Okay. Have you ever heard voices? Have you ever been able to determine?
I've always kind of like tuned out if I hear voices.
If you heard something, you okay. But you have heard loud noises in the past, but not as loud as you had heard on Sunday night?
No, it never been that. I felt the wall shake.
Okay.
As the sound happened.
And do you know either of them? Like, do you know?
I've had a few brief interactions with them.
Okay.
But I don't.
Like, do you know who lives there? Like,
yes.
Can you describe who lives there for me?
It is a sort of, I guess, like middle-aged. I don't know, like around 40s, blonde woman.
Okay.
And a Hispanic gentleman. I believe so. I haven't interacted with him much. I've spoken to her a few times.
You've spoken to her a few times. Okay. Anyone else live there?
I believe they have a little boy.
A small child. Okay. Okay. When you have seen them around, how do they appear to you?
They almost always seem either like tired or like tweaked out.
Tweaked out?
Yeah.
Okay. The conversations you had, the interactions you've had with the female, like, what do you mean interactions?
I remember one night she slept on the back porch of my apartment for some reason. I don't remember much, but I just remember, like, looking at the shades and seeing her, like, laid down.
Okay. Do you recall, like, maybe what month this was?
I couldn't say. It was pretty early when I moved in. I would say the summer of 2019.
Summer of 2019. Okay. Did you wake her, or?
No, I just...
Okay. And by sleeping, you guys all have, like, a cement area, right? Yes. Like a back patio, but it's not enclosed.
No.
Was she in a chair, on the ground?
Like on the ground.
On the ground. Okay.
I don't have any chairs on our back porch.
Okay. Any other run-ins with her? Things you've witnessed with her?
I was coming home from class one night. I would not be able to give you a time period on this.
Sure,
I don't remember when it is. And I was waiting on my roommate to get home because I had left my keys in the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember she came over and was talking to me for a minute, and it was very visible that, like, she was talking to me because she didn't want to be in her apartment.
Okay.
I don't know why, like, I didn't ask, but it was just very evident that she didn't want to be there.
Do you remember anything she was saying?
No.
Her demeanor?
She seemed like skittish, like nervous.
Okay.
I don't remember anything we talked about because, in complete honesty, when I was just, it was in one ear and out the other.
Right, yeah, you were just kind of, right.
With vague nothing.
Okay. Did she appear to be on anything at that point, or just she seemed nervous?
She seemed nervous.
Okay.
She didn't seem, like, high or anything. She just seemed out of it.
Okay.
I would chalk it up to be more like tired or paranoid or nervous, stuff like that.
Okay. And any other interactions with her?
No. Honestly, from the few times I had spoken to her, like, anytime I saw her, I kind of just tried to go straight into my apartment.
Right.
There's a few times where I would walk past and she'd say hi or something, and I was just kind of lie and be like, oh, I'm only going to be here for like 10 minutes. I just got to change and head back to class or something. Like, I try to avoid.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you ever witness either of them on their back porch patio?
No, I don't walk that direction.
Okay.
I don't have any reason to go like that.
Right. You guys don't have any, like, dogs or anything that you have to walk?
I don't have any pets.
There you go. Okay. Any interactions with the Hispanic male?
No, not that I can recall.
No? Okay. Okay, is there anything else that you think is important for me to know about them and anything you've heard or witnessed between the two of them?
it seemed like an abusive relationship. Just from every time I heard them, every time like I saw the two of them, it seemed rough.
Okay. Okay.
It's one of those things where like he was a bad guy. He was a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'm pausing it there because I'm glad you made that observation, Melanie, because I was thinking the same thing. I absolutely agree with you. I think the neighbour seems to contradict himself, and I agree with you that most likely he didn't know him. He didn't know George that well, because as he said himself, he never spoke to George, and I think he's maybe just basing it on some of his behaviour that he's seen. Now, granted, he was definitely abusive to her. There was definite indications of violence, but it was back and forth between the two of them. But it does seem a little bit like he was maybe casting a little bit of a judgment upon George. I mean, he can have all these issues and there can be domestic issues, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's an unbelievably bad guy, which I think was the insinuation that was coming there from the neighbour. But other than that, as you heard there, Tracy, he confirms that the noise that he heard, and he seems quite sure about it being a really loud noise, as if something was crashing down the stairs. And I think he said it was about 9:30 or 10 o'clock, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's about half an hour or an hour before she took that video. So we don't
totally
know.
Fits in the timeline.
It fits in the timeline, yeah, and it fits in obviously with the fact that there seemed to be a little bit of conflict already, going by what the brother said about the phone call at 7:30. Then we hear this noise at 10:30 or 11. We don't know if it really was her throwing him down there in the suitcase, right? That could be why he has those injuries. He's got a lot of injuries, bruises, and a black eye, a cut lip, things like that, you know?
And she was able to explain some of them, like, oh, he fell off of my kid's bike or something like that. But then one of them she couldn't explain. And she did seem to have an answer for everything. And yeah, so this neighbor, I had not even heard this before. So is this neighbor going to testify in court, do you think?
I would say he'll most likely have to, yeah. I mean, the prosecution will need to get him to testify, I would say, if they're going to make the argument that she threw him downstairs, right?
Mm.
And he would corroborate that from hearing the noise anyway. And then they may have some more evidence in that regard. There's maybe a reason that they've gone for second degree, because they have to be confident of second degree, right, to go for it. So there could be evidence that we're just not aware of, you know, on the staircase and from inside the suitcase even, you know, that would indicate a lot more violence. And they were also bringing up the fact that there was a baseball bat in the apartment that belonged to her son. They were asking the ex-husband about the baseball bat. So who knows, you know, who knows what went on.
I didn't know about that, but yeah, she could have been swatting him like through the suitcase with the bat. Is that what you were saying?
Well, potentially,
Oh,
yeah. I mean, they were asking those reasons for they were asking those questions for a reason, right? There might be nothing to it, but they have to cover all bases.
Wow. Yeah, that's like what you said earlier, heinous. If that's true, it's heinous. Of course, we're all presumed innocent until proven guilty, but
Yeah.
and she's pleading not guilty. But this does not look good. This does not look good.
Yeah.
But also, what Melanie said, it's inconsistent as well. It seems like there's some inconsistencies and some. I had to say that it was weird that he said that he found Sarah like asleep on his balcony. That is a little bizarre, but I also know that sometimes balconies, they don't have like the they just have an open grass area outside, and you could probably just kind of be staggering around in the off of your own balcony, and then you could pass out, and then you can roll onto his balcony. I can see how that could happen, but still, it's like, what?
I know. I mean, there was another interview with the property manager that I'm not going to play it really, 'cause there's not too much point, but basically she just confirmed that the pair of them were known in that neighborhood, you know, as being just out of control. It was known that they were constantly drinking from sunrise to sundown, you know, and
Yeah, her own husband, ex-husband, said that she was a belligerent drunk, and some of her friends were as well. So that, I don't know how long it had been, you know, that she was in that pattern, but that does seem to be the character that has been portrayed for her. So,
and just like Melanie said, it was George that was always seen playing with her kid outside, as opposed to her. I think I can't remember if it was the property manager that said that or one of the neighbors.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
I got to get my blinds here. It's getting a little glary.
Go for it. Iris says the ex-husband was very reasonable, to be fair. He didn't try to bury her, and he could have. I know, right? He certainly didn't help her either, though. And it almost felt like he wasn't that surprised that this had occurred. Did anyone else get that feeling? You know, he was just so used to, because he didn't have any love for George either. Now, obviously, that could just be because, for obvious reasons, you know, he's with his ex-wife. But did anyone else get the impression that he wasn't that shocked that this had happened? Snoop says, calm in the chaos, I don't know. I feel like she won't take any accountability, which will probably be her undoing. I feel if she had shown remorse in these videos, it would have gone another way.
Yeah, no kidding. I was wondering if what Snoop thought that her defense would be on the stand, because sometimes those things can change. And then this guy too, I mean, he's the neighbor, he's saying some certain things, but if he's actually under oath, he may say some different stuff. So yeah, that's why I want the trial.
Her only possible defense has to be her addiction. Alcohol is her only defense, and she's going to have to make the case that she lied about how much she consumed, because being an alcoholic and only having shared a bottle and a half of wine is not going to be enough to make someone like her, you know, blackout drunk or totally irrational.
Well, maybe they did just have a bottle and a half of wine, but then they also had some tequila shots too. I mean, who knows what else they had? But yeah, exactly. Like, what is her substance dependence? And it would have been interesting to see, because what happened was, I don't know if you know that. So the police came, and then they roped off in front of the house, as you saw, or in front of the apartment. Then they didn't immediately take her to the police station, did they?
No, it was the next day that she went in to get interrogated.
But she didn't go back into the apartment.
No,
correct?
I don't think she did. I think she actually stayed with the ex-husband. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm pretty
That
sure.
would have made sense. But I do wonder, because after about 72 hours, if you are an alcoholic, truly dependent upon alcohol, you start to go through withdrawal symptoms if you don't get it. It would be real interesting. Like, actually, what I would be interested in is from the time that she started to get interrogated to, you know, because they cuffed her after the interrogation and they took her away to jail, which is where she is today. And I just wonder if there was some sort of, you really could probably tell if she would have gone through the DTs,
Mhm.
or if she would have gone through some severe withdrawals. That would have really been telling as far as like, oh, okay, so she really was dependent upon alcohol. If she didn't go through those really severe withdrawals, then maybe the dependence wasn't so great, but that doesn't mean that she couldn't have just tied one on, right? Like, had a really great day and everything
Yeah.
was fun and games until I get triggered and I tell you to go into a suitcase, or we think this might be fun. This is the thing that I don't get. He had to have gone voluntarily in there. I don't think she had any weapons to force him in there.
There's no doubt
Yeah,
about that.
He thought it was a fun game, and she was like thinking it was fun too. And then it was like, then something snapped in her, I think, and then that's what happened.
She was clearly upset about something. From what we know, he had been chatting to other females on Facebook, and that's
Oh.
what she's describing as cheating, right?
Oh.
And there's the issue that he had choked her in the past, because she brought that up during the phone
Referenced
call
that.
to his brother, and she had been keeping a tally of evidence on her phone of, you know, her injuries through the domestic violence that she was receiving.
Yeah, she said that on that video too that she made. Like, that's how it feels when you choke me. That's what it felt like when you did this. And it was like, oh God.
Yeah. So there's no doubt that he voluntarily got in there, but there's also no doubt that she intended to be cruel to him. But I don't think there was intention to kill, right? Now, the other thing as well that I'm not sure if you're aware of, but 20 minutes after those videos of him in the suitcase, she actually called her ex-husband, which is unbelievable, right? 20 minutes later.
Like at about midnight or 11:45 or something like that? It had been late at night.
Yeah, it was 11:45.
Yeah, 11:45.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, it was only a 2-minute call. Now, the cops called up the ex-husband to speak about this call, and he couldn't really remember much of the content of the call other than she was hammered drunk, and he was kind of used to that type of call. But it's just the fact that she did that 20 minutes after what you heard on that video of him in the suitcase. So she was either calling from downstairs and there was just no noise from him anymore, or she was upstairs already calling him. It's just staggering, you know, that she was capable of doing that. There's something so malicious about that, right?
You know, and it begs me to wonder how long can you survive in a suitcase like that? Because he said, I can't breathe, babe, I can't breathe. But he was obviously able to get some air, or else he wouldn't have been able to utter those words. So I wonder just how long he was alive. And yeah, if she was downstairs or upstairs by that time where she called the ex-husband, that's really fascinating that happened. And again, adds to the heinous nature of this whole thing, right?
Absolutely.
Holy cow. Wow. So you've got the whole timeline put up here, huh? 11:12, first suitcase video, there's a second suitcase video?
Yeah, there's just a short 22-second clip where you don't hear anything.
Oh, okay.
No
Okay.
audio
Yeah,
there.
I think it's the first one that I've heard.
Yeah.
And then calls the ex-husband. Yeah, you could tell she was just really slurring her words and not able to form. That's my name, don't wear that.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that a good impression of? That's my best Sarah impression I can
Pretty
get.
good.
It's pretty good. Okay, so she went to bed at 12:30, but she didn't wake up or actually get out of bed until like 1 p.m. the next day.
Well,
Yeah,
we
she
don't
says
really
she woke up.
know. We don't, because she told two different stories that same day from that body cam we were just watching. She initially said that she woke at 11 but stayed in bed until 12:30, then went downstairs. But then in the second interview in the car with the cops, she seems to indicate it was around about 11ish that she got up. So we don't really know. But the point is, she woke at 11, but didn't call 911 until 1. That's 2 hours.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, there was just this case about, her name was Danielle Redlick, that was just on court TV or Law and Crime. That happened too. Like, she didn't call, and it was like hours and hours after she knew that her husband was dead. I think it was like 12 hours later. And I watched that trial, and it was her testimony that I think won the jury over, and she did really well in the cross exam and everything. And but she ended up being not guilty.
That's interesting, because a few people have asked me to maybe look into covering that case.
Danielle, it was very interesting. And it has a lot of the same themes as this as well. So then she goes downstairs at 11, and she's confused, and then she realizes he's in the suitcase. But did she open the suitcase and take him out before 911? Because I thought I remember the 911 guy saying, like, lay him down on his back and then start doing, compressions.
Yeah, she had already taken him out of the suitcase, and she says that she stretched him out, which would mean that he wasn't in rigor mortis. So it could be that he's gone through rigor mortis, because it only lasts for so long. I think it's maybe 4 or 5 hours, and then the body will come out of rigor mortis. So if that's the case, then he probably died earlier. Hopefully he wasn't in there for too long, struggling. I'm not sure, Tim. I'm not sure about the insurance policy. I mean, if he did have one, it'd be very modest, I'd imagine.
Yeah, he was working at a hardware store or something. Like, he was doing a kind of
it was barely part-time, though, going by what the husband was saying,
So
she was out of work as well.
She was? She wasn't working?
No.
Okay, got it. Wow. And so then she calls Brian, and then she calls 911.
Yeah, but remember, she only calls Brian after he first calls her. And then she tells him what's happened, and then he's driving her over to her place because he lives really close by. She only calls him to check that he's coming over. And it's only when he gets there, he tells her to call 911.
Wow. I wonder what she was planning to do. Like, thank goodness for Brian, right? Like, the adult in the situation.
And yeah, there was just something about the way he came across. He didn't seem that surprised that this had happened, That tells you something about what he's used to with them both,
Yeah, good point. I didn't really think about that, about Brian's reaction. I just felt like he was sort of monotone and kind of matter of fact, but who knows what actually people are like or when the camera's off. But wow. Well, yeah. So with the interrogation, then they did that the next day. Then she went and probably stayed with Brian that night, and then the next day she went into the police department, and then that interrogation video. And that might explain the shirt, Rabid. That might explain.
Well,
because
indeed.
she couldn't have gone back into her apartment to get another shirt because they had it roped off. So
you think he would have had something that she could wear?
You're thinking about her attire at a time like this.
Well, I think it's just indicative of how much of a mess she was. That's all, really.
She could have turned it inside out so that people wouldn't recognize that it was the same shirt. But you don't really think about, like, I'm being filmed, because what your experience is you're talking to a cop. You're not really thinking, oh, I'm being filmed because there's a body cam on me, right? But then the next day, I mean, when you're in an interrogation room, I've never been in one, but I don't know if you know that you're being I would, us people who are true crime sleuths, we do know that, like, you go into an interrogation room, you're going to get filmed. But yeah, that's she could have gone to Target and got another shirt.
think.
She didn't do that though. She just went in the same.
I mean,
shirt.
it
But
didn't
somehow she
seem
got
like
rid of her shorts. She got some jeans.
she got some genes. Yeah, I mean, it didn't
Mhm.
seem like she was overwhelmed with grief, right? So I can't understand why she didn't. She was so concerned about herself. You think she would,
Yeah.
change her attire because she is so selfish, right?
Yeah. Right. Well, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, the jeans would be hard to explain. Like, how would she have gotten some jeans if she couldn't go back into her apartment?
Yeah,
Maybe she
maybe.
had an extra pair in her car or something like that. Like, do you usually carry an extra pair of jeans in your car?
Well, I would imagine that they would just like law enforcement. They would just go in and get something for her and bring it back out. They wouldn't let her in.
Oh,
You would imagine.
okay. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm just.
Give me my Dr. Pepper. Why wouldn't they give
Yeah.
her Dr. Pepper?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to catch up with the chat here. I always fall
Yeah.
behind chat.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of hard. It's kind of easy to do. People are making a lot of really good points, though.
They are, and I hate missing the good comments. Has anyone tried asking someone in your life if they want to play hide and seek? No, not since I was about 12. That's what I thought, Tim, that it was actually just her drinking all the wine. I suspect she probably was. Now, her, according to the ex-husband, he's got no reason to lie. Her drink of choice was vodka. I'm assuming that she probably was one of these people that just had vodka around the apartment a lot, and she was probably topping herself off with vodka throughout the day, and she just didn't count that in her intake really because she was so used to that. That's what I suspect.
Maybe she slipped. What was that about? Slipped.
Oh, there's a
Snip man. Okay. Well.
Yeah, Alexandria, there's a bat in the apartment, a baseball bat. Oh, hey, that Essex boy, how are you? Oh, she's definitely guilty of at least manslaughter, without a doubt.
Yeah, I had an opinion from my friend Mari, who's like a super crime sleuth.
Okay.
She said, well, I think she was mad at him and drunk, and I think she is evil. Now, that's not my opinion. That's my friend Mari's opinion. I said, I will let Rabid know your thoughts. And she says, nope, I do not think it was an accident. That's what my friend Mari says. So take it as you will.
Well, do you know, there are quite a few people that think that. There was there was a guy that came on, I think the last Sarah Boone live that I did, that was saying the same thing, that he thought that she premeditated it, I just don't see it. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
But shall we go into the handwriting?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say about it because it's pretty much like typewriting. But yeah, I have a couple of opinions I wouldn't mind sharing and being able to. Oh, Alexandria said that it was an aluminum bat. I don't know if that is more. Maybe Timmy can tell us if aluminum bats are they more sturdy, more damaging than wooden bats?
I think they're lighter.
Lighter. Okay.
I think so. I may be wrong. But...
Right. Well, so here's that nice letter that she wrote to the judge. Mm-hmm. And as you can see, her writing is completely right in between the lines, very neat. Yeah. But what you want to look for is a couple things. One, the size of the writing. The larger the writing, the bigger picture a person is. Like they see things in a bigger picture. They're less sensitive to things. But the smaller the handwriting is, the more sensitive they are to things. Now, like Kurt Cobain's handwriting, he wrote super small and was very sensitive to whatever was around him. Now, one of the things I'm looking at here, so the size is very normal, and all of the zones meaning it is anything below the line or above the line, and nothing is above or below the line, which tells me, and this is why it's like my handwriting when I was a 16, is because a 16-year-old is only concerned with social stuff. Now, the middle zone is all about social. The upper zone is about spirituality, and the lower zone is about energy, whether it be physical energy or sexual energy. So she writes like a 16-year-old. I mean, really, a very nice penmanship, though. So beyond the size and the zones, you can see the space in between the words. Now, if you can see, and I don't have anything to compare it to, but you don't see very much space in between words. When I write, gosh, this is so sloppy. When I write, there's like a lot of space between the words. I have like a lot. So the space between the words means that how much time that how strong are your boundaries? How much time do you need with people, and how much time do you need alone? So the larger the space between your words, the more time you need alone. And that makes sense for me, right? Because I see people all the time and I need a lot of alone time. But for her, it's interesting. Like, why would she need contact with people? I mean, this is almost like, when you look at it, it's almost like one word. It's so close together.
Well,
So,
going by that theory, it would probably give you the impression that it's coming from the fact that she does feel alone.
oh, good. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And she's writing to the judge, so maybe she's wanting to connect with him and really thinking, because that's what it's about. Like, the more connected the writing is, the more you want to connect with people, and the further apart the words are, the more that you want your alone time. So after that, what you want to look at is slant. So if it's slanting to the right, it means you're feeling a normal amount of emotion. Slanting to the left, it means that there's usually some unresolved issues from the past. And if it slants straight up and down, like it is right here, it means that there's completely logical thought. Like there's not a whole lot of emotion, like not a normal emotional thought. This looks like typewriting. It does not look like it has any sort of human feeling, which would make sense because a lot of people have said that, oh my gosh, she's completely void of emotion. And so there's the up and down. I tend to write like that too, because I write in manuscript and it's pretty much up and down. But then most of the things I write are going to be case notes, right? I write my own case notes, and they're going to have to be factual. So, so there's that. And then I look at the T's. So the T's are going to be where she crosses her T's. That is self-esteem. And to me, I'm looking at her T's, and they're crossed pretty high. She has very high self-esteem, very high. I mean, they're almost like crosses. Yeah, they're pretty high.
Yeah, most of them, yeah.
And then you also look at the dots in the eyes. If they're right above the stem, it means very good memory. So it looks like she has a really good memory. She has incredibly high self-esteem. Everything is very logical. And everything has to do with social stuff. Even the writing, I am writing right around where your cursor is right now, that G doesn't go below the line. So what is going on with that? You know,
she's practically never touched the line in her letters.
That's the G's do come close, but they don't go below. My guess would be that she's just very, very socially inclined, and that, of course, this is just speculation and not a diagnosis or anything. But I would say that that also I wouldn't say it indicates that she doesn't have a whole lot of energy, which is in the lower zones, because the pressure that she's using with whatever she's writing with, it's very dark. So she has plenty of energy, but she, for some reason, there's a Y right there. The fully right there actually went below the line. That's interesting. I didn't catch. Well, this is kind of on the fly anyway, but that actually has a small little hook on it, which can mean resentment. Interesting. So we look at the T's, and then we also look at any kind of like E's. Let's see, where's an E? Yep, E. If an E is open, that means that she's open-minded. Yeah, she's fairly open-minded, but yeah, the more open.
What do you mean by
Yeah,
open?
like that E right there that you were just pointing at has,
Uh-huh.
you know, how it's open, like you can kind of see the top part of it, the loop part of it. The more open, yeah, that one's more open than the other one.
Right.
The top part of the E, you want to look at that top part of the E, and then you can see how open-minded she is. Some people don't even have like they have closed E's. That's a little bit more closed E that you're looking at right there.
Right.
Yeah. But
Right.
boy, that self-esteem is high. The other thing you want to look at is the signature. Now, I don't know if you can scroll all the way down.
Yeah.
You want to look at hoops in O's too. I'm not seeing any here, but boy, when you look at her signature, you can see. So what the handwriting is, what you actually, oh, hi. What you actually see here in her writing, you know, all the stuff that we were just looking at is what
Yeah.
she wants the world to see.
Right.
Now, in her signature is who she truly is.
Oh,
So the signature actually shows who she is.
okay.
You can see, first off, it doesn't match what she
Yeah.
wants people to see.
And the letters are joining up, right? That was one of
Mhm.
the first things I noticed.
She's
Her normal writing doesn't.
Yeah, exactly right. It's and she signed it in cursive, which is good. So she's got a huge lower zone right there in the S that you can't even see it on the page. I mean, it's probably, which indicates huge physical or sexual energy. And then her H, there's a little loop on it that indicates a sensitivity to criticism. The size is a lot bigger. So she is, for the purposes of this document, she wanted to be a little bit more detail oriented. But then she's like more of a bigger picture person. She's a bigger person than what she was portraying, than she wants to portray. And then we get to I forgot to look up the B, but the two O's. Okay, those two O's with those loops, that is classic.
Do you mean in the signature?
Yeah, in the signature.
Right.
Those two, they're almost like you can't even see the O. The O's are not open. They're looped.
Uh-huh.
That means secrets.
Oh.
And secrets about herself or her family in particular. Let me look up the B real quick. I don't know that is something I'm familiar with, but I do have a book here. But I thought it was really interesting, first off, that she had some writing that was indicative of, you know, sort of adolescent, like really socially contact. Yeah, there's no B. There's nothing that says anything about the B. But since there is a loop in the B, I would say that there's a lot of family secrets, a lot of them.
Well, that jives with what we're imagining about her past, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. A lot of family secrets.
The other indications seem spot on as well. I'm impressed.
That's and it's not anything that I made up. It's obviously it's in the graphology and being in the training, but I'm just reporting on what I see.
Yeah.
And that's really pretty much it. So she's a logical person. She explains herself well. It's well written. She's got good self-esteem, good memory, open-minded, and that's what she wants the world to see. But when you actually look at her signature, she's a little bit more of a big picture person. And I think I detected some impatience with her, like, get this over with. I just really want this over with. Like, you know, like when she was dealing with law enforcement, like, of course, like, understand me, you know, like really get the big picture. She doesn't want to go into the small details as a person. And then she's got family secrets. And her signature also has a slightly left slant.
Oh, yeah.
It's not straight up and down. It has a slight left slant, which means that there are some that it could indicate issues with the family. There's some family issues there, is what my my impression is there, and there's some family secrets.
That's
So there you go.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
I would also go as far as to say that her normal handwriting is actually too good. You know,
It's
that's
like a typewriter.
it's really unique, and it
Mhm.
is quite. I mean, if you just came across this writing with no background or any context, I think you would almost definitely think this was from a teenager.
Mhm.
It's
Yes.
very particular. Um, as I say, there's no letters joining up. That's very unusual in an
Mhm.
adult, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah, it's fascinating. So so the thing that I like to do, well, I don't do this at parties very much, but sometimes I do. But I'll ask somebody to write this one phrase, which is, "If you are really good, I will teach you how to cook." And if you write that phrase and then sign your name, I'll be able to tell you about yourself fairly accurately. I've done it really, and it's
oh,
not anything that like I have a gift or psychic or whatever. It's just knowing the
you've read up
research.
on it, right?
Oh yeah, I was trained to do it when I was in human resources because, well, back when I was in HR, there was handwritten applications, and we weren't really supposed to do this, but we would look at them and we would say, nope, don't want that. It has a felon's hook. A felon's hook is a pretty big warning sign of dishonesty and guilt. So we would throw that application over there and go to the next one.
It's interesting, just the thought and the idea that there are, parts about us or our traits or our emotions and our character that come out in things like that, and simply just our handwriting. And of course, it has to be taken in conjunction with everything else you know about someone that you're trying to analyze.
So thanks, Timmy. And I think Snoop also said that about underlined words. And so what the book says is, I am enthusiastic. So whatever's underlined, an underline made with heavy pressure is I am enthusiastic. So whatever word is being underlined, she's very enthusiastic about that. So forward. Of course, I did indicate like earlier, I thought, she was very impatient with the cop. She just wanted this to, so that's really interesting that I had said that earlier, and now somebody made that. Any, never, yeah, those are going to be something she wants to call emphasis to, which kind of makes sense. 2 months
Yeah,
ongoing. Yeah.
there's a lot, isn't there?
Yeah. She just really wants to call attention to that. If you do 2 underlines, that she really, really wants you to notice that. So I don't see anything else, but I think that's enough. I think just to sort of look at a character, especially with that signature and the family secrets and the little slight left slanting stuff.
Slant to the left, the letters all joined up. What you're saying about the opening or closed.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So if you ever want to learn how to, well, actually, this book is a great book. I love this book. I don't know if you can see it very well. Let me switch to StreamYard here. Yeah. It's called Finding Mr. Right. And actually, it's not a romance book, but it kind of is in a way.
Looks like
because, yeah, because it's a new slant on selecting the perfect mate. Now, because it is a romance book, it's kind of like a screening tool, but it's a great graphology book. It tells you everything about handwriting analysis. It's by Beverly East. And I've got the hardback copy, baby, because I'm serious. I've been married. Actually, tomorrow is our 23rd wedding anniversary.
Oh,
so
congratulations.
I did find Mr. Right.
Well done. Well done.
I guess, yeah, because the first one was Mr. Wrong. Very much so. But yeah, it's a great book if you ever want to check it out. And then there's, I guess there's some things like I think people have analyzed Kurt Cobain's handwriting and George Bush's handwriting. You just have to Google handwriting analysis and those people.
You reminded me, you had a look at Chris Watts's handwriting.
I did.
What did you learn from that?
Well, I do have I told you, I think that I have a folder, a YouTube folder. It's in there somewhere. I had put that up on Armchair Detectives Patreon one time.
Uh-huh.
And if you bring it up, if you have it, I could go
do.
through my, you do?
I do. Yeah, are
Okay.
you impressed? Hold
Yeah,
Hold on.
I can do it on the fly. Oh, Dana. Hi, Dana.
Hey, Dana.
Dana's in the chat.
Okay, so that's one. This is maybe not the best example because some people think he didn't actually write this, but I think most people agree that he did write it. They just have issues about whether he wrote the date or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
who knows?
And this was exactly what I had analyzed on Armchair's channel as well.
No.
Yeah, Dana, I haven't seen you in a while either. So cool to see Dana.
Just notice how different it is from Sarah Boone's, right?
Exactly.
Like I said, he's like the inverse of Sarah.
Yeah, so you see a little bit of the leftward slant. But the thing that I noticed about this letter is that it's not just left. It's all over the place. It's not just left.
Goes right there, doesn't it?
It goes right, it goes center, it goes left. It's all over the place. So, yeah, it starts out as a leftward slant. Well, to whom, it, and then may is upward, concern. So you want to look at the size, as again, like I said, the size is a lot smaller. Well, it's probably about the same zone. You want to look at the zone in there, in the middle. His T is up, which indicates he has some sort of spirituality. But his writing is smaller. And then he has a lower zone there.
They all
go
below the line, don't they? All the ones that should do.
Yeah, right. A typewriter T. Let me look that up really quick because I think I did comment on that at the an Armchair's channel. The typewriter T and how low it's crossed. And the I. Now the I's, I don't know if he has any other I's that he dots. That indicates memory. Yeah, it's all over the place.
I think you can really, even not having a good knowledge of this kind of stuff, I think you can just organically just detect that this guy he almost wants to shrink. Look how tiny his signature is. It's like a toddler. It's like he wants to hide from the world. He's scared to express himself. Look how small some of the vowels are.
But does he have a signature down below it? He wrote it, and then is the signature below it?
Oh, you're right, actually. I thought that was his signature.
No, there's something below it.
Yeah, that's
it
there.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. So that's great. So the T with the typewriter T is indicated, I just looked it up, it's indecisiveness. So, duh. So if anyone gets this letter, and so then you want to look at the space in between, see how much space he has in between some of his words. I would think that's a normal amount of space, but he's a dad with 2 kids. And he probably does need some alone time. But when he wrote this, he had quite a bit of space because Shanann had been in North Carolina for quite a few weeks. And he had just joined her when he wrote this. But anyway, his need for alone time is big, and maybe he's a little bit more introverted. But yeah, the slant is all over the place, which means he has no idea what he's, if he's got issues from the past, if he's wanting to be logical, if he wants to be emotional. He has really big eyes. So that indicates like some ego right there, like really big eyes. Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, there's that leftward slant again and really small writing. So he's pretty sensitive. The space in between his words is still fairly big. I mean, that's about as big as my space. The lower zones are in a good level, but I'm telling you, he has some issues from his past because of that leftward slant. And then where's the T's? Yeah, his self-esteem, you can see his self-esteem is a lot. The T, look at that, an inmate from another. You can see that T down there. It's almost crossed at the very, very bottom. He does
Where are
not
you?
have
There.
down,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
down one and to the right. An inmate from another. That another.
Yeah.
It's right about, yeah, you've got it right there. Look at how low that's crossed.
Yeah.
He's got really low self-esteem. Some of them are better. I mean, but mainly it's they're crossed really low, so that indicates some pretty low self-esteem. What else can I see? I'm seeing some spirituality there. I mean, the upper zones, I can see some pretty good spirituality. The lower zones, he may not have a whole lot of energy. Yeah, that leftward slant is going to indicate that maybe he's
quite pronounced, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Right. None of it bad. Let's see if I can think of something else. He doesn't have a felon's claw.
What's a felon's claw?
Let's see. It's like a hook that will go like if you're going to do like a G. And you do a G and then you do a hook instead of a loop. That's a felon's claw.
Got you. Interesting.
Yeah, Dana, you're right. A leftward slant is an indicative of introversion as well. Right. Thanks for reminding me. Introversion or family issues, things from the past, which would make sense.
And he was most definitely introverted.
Yeah. I don't see anything else that's really remarkable at all. But I do remember that I analyzed some of the stuff. And wait, do we have a signature for him?
Because
that's going to tell you who he actually really is.
We had it in the other one, didn't we? Let me see. There. That's it. You see it? At the bottom?
Yeah, right there. Yeah. So yeah, it's when you look at that, oh my gosh, the last name, I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this maybe, but when you see something where you have the very last thing go through the whole name, that indicates self-destruction.
Damn.
Yeah. So you can't even really see his signature. You can't even really distinguish his first name. So he really doesn't think much of himself. And with his family, I don't know. That is so interesting. I don't think I ever picked up on that. But with his Watts, his family, it indicates self-destruction, because what's happening is he's going and he's circling around and going like that, like almost like he's gonna slaughter them.
That long line.
Yeah, well, I mean, if anybody thinks that, I mean, if just look it up. I might be wrong, but I mean, that looks like self-destruction to me. But then because it's in the last name, it has to do with the family.
Yeah, the family name.
Oh, sorry, Dana. So Dana, the book is called
Hey, Raven.
Finding Mr. Right, Write, by Beverly East. It's an old book, but the cool thing there's a lot of cool things about it, but you can find out about graphology. But then there's a nice little index in the back that, so if you're kind of wondering about like, what kind of handwriting is this? Or what does that D mean? It goes through all of the different sort of symbols as well. And then it has like, should you pick this guy or this guy? It's kind of funny. But really a good, very, very good graphology book. I love it.
You've no idea how many single people right now are taking notes on this, Tracy, for their own protection.
Right. And then so the phrase you have them write is, if you are really good, I will teach you how to cook. So you'll get the O's and you'll get the T's. You'll be able to see the zones. You'll be able to see the space in between. You'll be able to see pretty much everything with that phrase.
Across the board, cover all bases.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
I've put the panel link into chat, guys. If anyone would like to come up, if they've got anything they want to.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on here
share.
for a while. I can hop off and I mean, it's really super cool that you wanted to have me on your panel, and just for the little things I was able to offer and everything, and maybe somebody else could come up.
You've brought a really cool angle to this. You really have.
I'm gonna find my pink shorts. They're still
Throw
here.
them
I
away.
never got rid of them. They're still here somewhere.
What I was going to show now was what I mentioned earlier. There's do you watch court TV at all?
Oh yeah.
That's my go-to really for court cases and things. Well, they had a couple of behavior analysts to speak about this, so you might find this interesting.
Oh, the people that do like the facial and the body analysis.
Language.
Oh yeah. No, I haven't seen that.
This is interesting.
I'll mute myself.
Okay.
All right, tonight we're going to take some time to break down the body camera and interrogation videos of Sarah Boone. Now, she claims it was an accident, that they were drinking, they started playing a hide-and-seek type game, and then she fell asleep and forgot that he was in the suitcase. Well, she told this story to police a few times, and we have it on tape. So we know what her words are telling us, but what does her body language say? Well, we have just the right people to help us figure that out. Let's bring in our expert. What I want to look at first is the body camera video from the officers who responded to Boone's 911 call. She did call 911. Now, in this clip, the officer asked Boone to explain what happened and how George Torres ended up dead in the suitcase. Important stuff. And it is Boone's first official telling of the story. So let's watch this together now, and then you can tell me what you see.
We have a puzzle that we started in there.
Okay.
We've been doing art, trying to take the stuff off the wall to make new art put up there, like having a good time with one another. But we're drinking. We had a bottle of wine last night.
Okay.
So then it's like, we decided to play hide and seek, right?
Okay.
So he gets in the suitcase. Okay.
Who is this guy?
That's my ex-husband, my former husband.
How did he live here with you guys?
No, I called him over here.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
So then he came over here.
Here, let's talk in private, okay?
I called you guys. I tried giving you the problem is I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
When did you do CPR?
This morning when I found it.
Before you called?
Yes.
1 o'clock right now.
I tried. I was awake, but I actually got out of the bed at like 12:30ish, whatever. So I came downstairs and I was like, oh, he's in the suitcase still. And that's when I found him and I took him out and tried doing CPR and then I called him and then I called you guys.
Did he get here before the fire department got here?
Who?
Your husband or your ex-husband?
Yes.
Okay. Where does he live at?
Right down the street.
Okay. So you were playing and you did some up there.
I did, but then I fell asleep.
Okay. You're okay. I wasn't here. I'm just trying to figure out what happened.
I fell asleep, so I don't know if he suffocated or like had an aneurysm or a heart attack or what.
What kind of medical conditions does he have?
None that I know of.
Nothing that you know of.
None
You didn't
that I
take
know
any
of.
medicine?
No. All we had was a bottle of wine. Literally, just a bottle of wine.
Okay.
Doing puzzle artwork. Then we decided to play hide and seek.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that happened.
All right, Susan and Janine, one thing we know, as sure as the sun is going to rise, defendants will always try to minimize what they've done in a situation like this. But anyway, that's why we go to you guys. So, Susan, let me start with you. What'd you see there?
There was a lot to unpack here. And first of all, you could take this frame by frame by frame because there's so much information in everything that she's talking about. The first thing I want you to notice is that her lack of empathy. She doesn't show any sort of emotion, right? She's talking about that she's playing with these puzzles or inside. She's giving gestures that are illustrating that that's what she was doing. But you'll see a moment where all of a sudden there was a shift, a little pause, a little hesitation. And that's what she's talking about, that they were playing these hide and seek games. So what I saw in that very short little piece, there was something that occurred from when they were playing with these puzzles or putting these puzzles together to where they began playing hide and seek. The other thing is that what she talks about is that she sets already the stage talking about that they had a bottle of wine. The reason why she's doing that is she's setting the stage of why she forgot, so to speak, or she fell asleep, or the reason why she fell asleep. The other things I'd like you to notice too is her change in her demeanor. Anytime you see a change in their demeanor, there's a different change in their state of mind. She goes from being more frantic, you see her in these frantic moments. She becomes extremely angry. That's what's really unusual about a case like this, because usually when someone has died and someone that's close to them, you're going to see a sense of sadness. You're going to see a sense of remorse, a sense of grief. You don't see that here. She actually gets angry and showing aggression towards the police officer. That's associated with guilt. Now, I'm not saying that she didn't fall asleep. I think that she did at some point, but I think it was after she was already taunting him, went upstairs, fell asleep, knowing that he was in there, and then she came down, and then she goes, oh my God, which is where they tend to kind of go, oh, I lost my head in that. But there is so much here to unpack, Michael, that it would take hours to unpack every little segment here, because there's a lot. Janine, what'd you see?
Fair enough. Yeah, Janine, I want to go to you because I just want to say quickly, I had that note here that I didn't see much remorse, but then I also had the note to say she was possibly grieving, so there is that denial phase. I thought that might have something to do with it, but love to hear what you got to say.
Well, I saw surprise here. So the eyebrows are up and curved, and then we saw the whites of the eyes. And what I like to say is when white eyes are here, fear is here. So this fear that is showing up, I don't, in my expert opinion, based on what I was seeing with lots of this footage, I don't think that this was a premeditated murder. I think that she was like kicking it back a little, had too much, and, did punish him. The neighbor called in and told the police that they heard a loud thumping falling down the stairs. And of course, there were different injuries with him. We didn't show it here, but as much as body language is important, there's something called statement analysis, which is the words matter. And she said we had just a bottle of wine, just as a minimizing word right here, instead of we had one bottle of wine. When she called 911, she said this, and I think it's critical. My boyfriend, so my boyfriend is ownership of my boyfriend. She didn't say this guy I was dating. She's saying my boyfriend, which is ownership, saying she's got this boyfriend. My boyfriend and I were playing last night, and I put him in a suitcase, and we, which is a relationship, we were playing and kinda hide and seek. These start-stop sentences are very suspicious. And when we hear a kinda, we heard a lot of kindas with Amber Heard with the Johnny Depp case. I say when there's a like or a kinda, there's more to find. So I think there's more to find here. And I think Susan pointed out a lot of the body language.
That's so interesting, isn't it? I'm so fascinated by statement analysis. I know that this isn't actually, a written statement, but it still applies. The words that people choose still apply. And the way that she was mentioning there, those hesitations like kinda or like'a is indicative that someone is consciously worried about what the actual truth would be, right? They're trying to minimize that for some reason.
Yeah, you don't just look at the body language, you look at the actual words they're saying too. And I always forget that, like what words are actually coming out of their mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peter Hyatt is a guy that does statement analysis. He's got a channel on YouTube, and he did a lot of analysis on the Madeleine McCann parents. And it's fascinating to watch if anyone's interested in that case to check out. And it actually, once you really take it in, it does make sense. There's so much that people give away solely with the words that they choose, because so much of it is subconscious. It's not, we're not consciously selecting every word that comes out our mouth, or that we choose.
Language is incongruent. Listen, I've been with people who have lost loved ones, and they're like, bring them back. I mean, there's no one way. We all experience grief, of course, but you'll often see like, bring them back. Please tell me they're not dead, please. And instead, she's setting up the case right now with her body language. Her hand gestures are really big, trying to convince us. And our hands are fascinating because there are more connections in the brain to our hands than any other part of our body. Wow. So our hands are important, and we see lots of hands movements. I don't know if you're going to play some clips when she's being interrogated or interviewed by law enforcement, but we see a lot of just.
That fascinates me as well, Tracy, how she describes the hands, you know, are the parts of our body that are the most closely linked to our brains, right? Our cognitive process, you know?
I know I'm kind of scared because like I know that I've been using my hands a lot here. Like I do this a lot, you know, and I was like, what does that mean? Anyway, I hope nobody ever I think I'm just trying to, I don't know, paint a picture. I'm not sure. I hope it doesn't mean anything bad.
We're all going to be insecure wrecks after all this analysis.
Right.
Self-conscious.
Oh man.
That I hope we get to talk about what does this mean when she's doing this to police.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, she's telling her story, and as I said, it sounds like a little bit of minimizing, but also, like you said, she wants folks to believe her story. So it's interesting.
It's natural. You're nervous. You have the anxiety. You're scared, right? It's okay. You don't have to.
I don't know how to. I'm just waiting for whoever, so. I mean, I know that I was in bed probably by like what, 12:30? Okay. Well, I went upstairs at least, and I fell asleep.
Yeah.
Forgetting that he was in the suitcase.
So you guys were playing the hide and go.
Yes.
And at some point you put him in the suitcase?
No, he got in the suitcase. So he thought it'd be funny to be put in the suitcase. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to joke with you and I'll zip you up and make him, you know, squirm a little bit, whatever it is. But then I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
Where was the suitcase?
Right where it is.
Right down there?
Yes.
You zipped him in there?
Yes.
Thought he would be funny, a little joke.
It was. We both were laughing about it. Okay. And then I fell asleep.
Where did you fall asleep at?
Upstairs.
In your bedroom?
Yes.
Okay.
Totally forgetting that he was in the suitcase still.
Okay.
All right. There you heard Sarah Boone admit that she was the one who zipped up her boyfriend in that suitcase. Now, he would later die inside that suitcase. Boone, of course, claims it was a game gone wrong and that he was in it. He was in on that game, but investigators, they don't buy her story. They believe this was no game and have charged Boone with his murder. All right. Our body language experts are still with us to break this all down. Susan Constantine and Janine Driver. All right, the next piece of body camera video that we're going to look at is the one that I think will be quite telling. Here, Sarah Boone is talking to detectives about when they'll inform her boyfriend's family of his death. And you'll see she becomes quite animated and upset during this discussion, claiming that his family is going to think that she killed him. Let's watch.
So, like, do you guys tell his family? Like today or after tomorrow?
We have to. It's the law.
We have to go make contact with the
Yeah. Once our investigation is pretty much complete here, once we leave here, we will be going to.
But again, you'll know. I'm not going to just go and do it without you knowing. You'll know. We'll talk to you prior to doing anything like that.
But how? I mean, I understand what you guys and how you do it, and you know. So, but like, what do you just tell him? What do you tell his parents? Like, what's the reason?
Passed away.
We tell them what we know at that point.
Yeah.
We tell them the truth.
And that we're going to be waiting for the autopsy results, and I will be at the autopsy in the morning, and hopefully the doctor will be able to give me some of what they think and see.
We'll give them their number. They can contact them and get it from them.
So yeah, they're gonna know what we're here, what we're investigating, and that they're gonna think I killed him.
Why would they think that?
They always have said that. They've always have said that.
What have they
I
said?
told you it's because I'm the blue-eyed white dragon. That's what they call me. Because they don't want him with me. So he's basically just not really been around his family because he chooses me over them. Even after I've encouraged him numerous times to go there and see his family.
All right, Janine Driver, I want you to let me know what you saw.
Well, first of all, when she says they're going to think I killed him, this is indicative of someone who did not premeditate it, because if she premeditated it, we would hear something more along the lines of minimizing language. They're going to think I'm the one that hurt him. They'll minimize it. The fact she says kill, it says a lot here about whether it was premeditated, which I think it most likely probably was not. Talk about my own squishy language right there. This is a big body language pose, though, that I was not surprised seeing here. Her elbows come out. And I say, when elbows are out, there is shock about or this panic about. We saw this with Chris Watts. You may remember Chris Watts. He murdered his pregnant wife, Shanann, and his 2 young daughters, Celeste and Bella. When the police camera was videotaping him, watching videotape footage of a neighbor whose neighbor's camera faced Chris Watts' driveway, and they show Chris Watts putting something into his truck early in the hours of the morning where he said he was sleeping, which evidently later we find out was Shanann. And he's watching this footage. He's looking at his phone, and all of a sudden, when he sees the truck back up, and you can see a gas can go in this body, you see elbows out. But we also see this like in a basketball.
That's the point you were making earlier, Tracy, about the arms, the elbows coming out.
Yeah.
Panic.
Yeah, like this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like he's getting arrested already. Like I'm like cuff me.
Game. You go to retrieve the basketball or get a rebound, and by mistake, you push it in the opposing team's net. Elbows out, shock is about. We see that with Tom Brady when he wins the Super Bowl over and over again, right? So we see those elbows out. So we have that shock. And last but not least, before you pass it to Susan, is this high-level pacifying. The higher the pacifier, the more stress and anxiety. This is a term Joe Navarro, retired FBI agent, came up with, and it's such a great term. Babies pacify by comfort themselves with a pacifier. Adults pacify by touching one piece of our body to another. Who's on the phone? 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 Who stresses you out the most? This person. This high pacifying where she's ventilating. Look at her hair. Her fingers go through like a comb. It's ventilation, and then this little neck massage. Her fight and flight is kicking up. You even see swaying in the beginning. She wants to run, but she can't. So it's coming out in these massive pacifiers. Another face touch here. I'll save some stuff here for Susan.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna give another clip to Susan now, because in this next clip, Susan, Boone talks about how scared she is, and she tells the detective that this was not intentional. Let's watch.
I'm like really scared. I want you guys to know that.
Look around. You have all of these deputies here, so while we're here, nothing's going to happen to you. Before we go and make any notifications, you'll have plenty of time to leave or do what you need to do. Whatever you need to do. Okay? And we can talk about that more later. But yeah, it's not going to be a surprise.
Real quick, and then, but like, I don't like this was totally like not intentional. Like, that's what I'm scared about too. Like,
we'll have all the answers. We'll have a lot more answers tomorrow after medical examiner looks at it. Like she said, what you're seeing here is common. This is us coming out.
Protocol.
Yeah, his age, no real medical history that we know of. For him to have passed away, we come out.
I know. Yeah.
We come out and do an investigation. Medical examiner's office, we send people out, this is what we do. If he was 75 years old and had a history of heart condition, we wouldn't be here.
I just don't know I don't know what it is.
Exactly. And that's what we're here to find out. We're just here to get the answers.
All right, Susan, your thoughts.
Yeah, so when Janine was talking about the pacifiers, this is this hands to the neck. She has these, it's always up around through the neck, and she's very worried and concerned. And when you look at her body language, you can see that she's very small. She kind of closes her body language in. When a person is like that, they're not feeling very confident. You can tell that she's feeling fearful. She even says the word, I'm really feeling scared right now. When she puts her hands up like this, it was consistent with her words, I'm really scared. You can also see her lips kind of rolling in. And in other moments too, she's kind of biting her lip. She's this bottom lip, she'll kind of tuck inside. These are a lot of these kind of concern, worry, kind of responses. But overall, what we're looking at are the self-soothing gestures, the picking of the fingernails, the worriness here, the hands up and through here, the collapsing of her body language. She's not feeling very confident here. She is worried, but she says one word there, and I'd like to go back to figure out what maybe Janine heard it. And she says, she pops in and she says, run. So I'd like to find out from Janine what she thought about that.
Janine, go ahead.
Yeah, what was it? What was the word?
I thought she said run.
Run.
The police
Okay, so
officer was talking to her. She jumped in there and she says, run? And I thought, is she actually saying, well, I could actually leave, leave?
Yeah.
I think she misinterpreted that there. What she was responding to there, she was kind of making a black joke, like, should I just run because she was so scared about the family? I think she's looking into it for something that's not there.
Yeah, I didn't even catch that at all. It must have been really super short when she might have said run. I didn't even hear her say run. So,
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, she might be reaching a little bit, but she's a body what is it? Analysis? I can't remember.
Yeah. I mean, you just know that they've probably they don't know the case in a lot of detail, right? And they maybe have watched these videos maybe once or twice over before they come in the studio to do it. So,
Yeah. But still, really, I mean, it's something to take in, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there was so much that they were saying there that's interesting to see it played out in someone's actions,
It's kind of interesting the way you freeze frame this. The one on the left, I wonder with that body language, she kind of looks like she's like she saw a ghost or something.
Yeah, she doesn't look too confident now.
I'm sorry. It's just I'm analyzing the body people. I'll be shutting up now.
Yeah, put the mirror up to them.
And escape. So I was wondering
that could be
a lot of times. Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, well, that could be a Freudian slip that could come out here. She said a lot of different things. I wrote down a bunch here throughout this interviewing, which is in all honesty. She said that several times. She does start-stop sentences, which are congruent with someone who's being deceptive. But here's and run could be a Freudian slip. The DC sniper, John Allen Muhammad, went into trial and he said, by the grace of God, you find me guilty. I mean, innocent. So these Freudian slips. So what Susan may be picking up here could be this Freudian slip of run, wanting to get out of there, because you can see that swaying in the beginning and then it stops. In that small slumped forward posture, again, lips disappear. When we don't like what we see or hear, our lips disappear. Here's the deal, though, if I'm going to land the plane on body language and statement analysis, is all of these signs are also indicative of someone who's telling the truth. There is no pants on fire, because if you all of a sudden killed your boyfriend, then you'd be stressed too. What's missing, I think, and perhaps Susan would agree, what's missing here that is critical, I was thinking of that TV show House. He would write all the problems, heartache, broken leg, but what's missing? What's missing is fear and sadness that her boyfriend is dead. It is not making an appearance here. This is the very first time police are getting here. Where is the fear? Where's the sadness? She is nervous about consequences for her. We are not seeing any sadness, nothing here. There's no sadness or fear.
Yeah, there's no remorse. Now, remember, she's not charged with intentional murder. She's charged with second-degree murder. And, if you're a lay person, you don't know the difference between intentional. You just want them to know, I didn't mean to do this. Still doesn't mean you're not guilty of murder, depending on what the facts are. So she's dealing with that as well. But there was something else. This has nothing to do with movement or body language, but more behavior. And I wanted to ask if you guys have any thoughts on it. She calls her ex-husband before the police. He's at the scene when they arrive. Read anything into that at all?
If I can chime in, first of all, the ex-husband said, and he looked like he was telling the truth, in my opinion. I watched the video of him. He said he started calling her at 11 o'clock because she was supposed to pick up her son. That was her day to pick up the son. So he started calling. He said every 30 minutes he was calling at 11:30. So I'm not sure if she called him or she just answered his call. In my opinion, if I was a fly on the wall, I think she woke up, saw that he was dead, panicked for a couple hours before calling the police. I also don't think she was resuscitating him, because I've been there where people have done CPR and you're out of breath. 1, 2, 3. And she's like number 16 and having small talk with the operator on the other end of the phone. I don't think she was doing it.
I agree with her that because what she said on the 911 call is that she'd already tried CPR, and she said that to law enforcement when they first came out. I agree. I don't think she attempted that herself before. She may have attempted it when she was on the 911 call. I don't know for certain. But one thing we do know there is that we do know for certain that it was the husband that called her first, not the other way around. They keep saying that.
Well, I think she clarified that the husband called her, but then that is interesting about she's not out of breath. And I don't know if you've ever done CPR on anybody, but I've done it in class, on a doll, in a class, and it does sort of wind you. So that's
a lot of
point.
people say that. Yeah.
But then she said that comment about he made a noise, or he's gushing, or something like that, I think is what she was saying. She said it on 2 occasions on the 911 call, almost like he burped, or he did something with his mouth, and she got all kind of grossed out about it. So maybe she was, I don't know what she was doing. I guess
I think regardless of whether she was doing it, she knew he was dead. So she knew that what she was doing was futile, I think.
He was purple, come on now. But the guy, I think that's what the dispatchers are trained to do, lead him through the process of CPR. And she was just going oh my gosh, he's purple. He's dead. He's dead.
Yeah, when the medical examiners turned up, when services turned up, they told her instantly. You could hear it on the 911 call that he was gone. They told her that within seconds.
Yeah, Irish Ice says gurgling. That's what the word was. He's gurgling. He's gurgling. She said it twice. I'm just oh my gosh. Oh. Anyway.
I don't think it's suspicious that he was there, because he's saying he called her. He also says she's a big drinker, and she's a big drinker, and that this is a problem in the past that they've experienced. She doesn't ever like together.
Susan, any thoughts on that?
Yes, I think that she felt, her ex-husband, she's still very close to. She still has a very close relationship with him. So it's obvious that the two of them still are very connected, even though they are co-parenting. The first person that's on her list she called was him. So when you look at the order in which somebody calls them, and Janine will know because we've both been trained very much alike, it's that, the order in which they list their names or people that they reach out to are the level of people of importance in their life. And so when she says, for an example, Janine pointed on this, is that my boyfriend and I were playing the game. I just want to let you know that when you're looking at, yes, the my is the closeness, boyfriend has a position in her life. Yes, it's in the statement analysis. We do statement analysis in the human behavior lab. But here's one thing I want you to notice is when she says my boyfriend and I, you look at my and I, how far they are apart. So that's something they don't normally do. Hide and seek is not one of the regular games that they play. This was an instance where they did it maybe for the first time. This is not a regular occurrence. So in what they say really matters. Every word matters. And even in the 911 call from the very beginning was setting precedents of why the event happened, because she was talking about that they were having alcohol, they were drinking. She was setting the stage for all of us. And that's what people tend to do. What they say, the first sentence they speak is usually the reason why the event actually occurred. So in statement analysis, yes, go ahead, Janine.
Well, I was just going to say, O.J. Simpson, when he was asked about his relationship with Nicole, said we were a normal couple. We had our downs and ups. So what Susan's saying here is order matters, right? So the order matters on these things. And of course, we have a videotape footage of her videotaping the suitcase and him saying, I can't breathe, honey, I can't breathe. No, seriously. And she goes, well, then stop talking. And then she walked up the stairs and went to sleep. Yeah. Just like if you're drinking and driving, you kill somebody, it is murder. Yeah. I believe this is murder, and I believe she's going to be found guilty.
Yeah, I agree too. Yeah. And I think ultimately what we heard on that videotape that you're talking about when she was videotaping with her phone doesn't match up quite with the story she's telling. And I think that's a problem.
Nobody knew George better than I did. I say that I knew George better than himself. And I tried in every way, shape, and form. Ask everyone. I helped him. I took care of him. I missed him a lot, and I didn't even sleep last night.
Well, now what we want to do is take a look at some of the statements she made to police during her interrogation. Now here, the dynamics are a bit different. Some time has passed. She's in a room with a detective, and she's had some time to calm down, to think, maybe get some perspective on all this. Well, still with us to give us their expertise, our body language experts, Susan Constantine and Janine Driver. All right. The first clip of Boone's interrogation I'd like to show you guys is when the detectives confront her about a video Boone took inside when Torres was inside that suitcase. Now, in it, you can hear Torres telling her he can't breathe while she taunts him. Now, she claims she doesn't remember taking any videos or photos on her phone, but what does her body language say? Let's take a look, and then we'll discuss.
You said you played hide and seek like probably 3 times in your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
When you have played, have you ever zipped him up in a suitcase prior?
No.
Okay. So it was just kind of like that prop was there, and it was there,
Yes.
and it was in play because...
Why do you say it like that, though?
I would never do that.
You would never zip them up in a suitcase?
Well, I mean, we were playing. Do you remember making any videos or maybe having any anything, any photos, videos that you remember doing on your phone on Sunday?
No.
No. So I have something that I want to show you that we found, and it was from your phone.
Mm-hmm. Do I have to watch this? I continuously throw up. I don't sleep. I don't want to see it, if that's okay.
Well, it's on your phone, and you can either explain it or we take it for what it is.
Yeah. We're just trying to give you the opportunity to tell us what's going on. That's it.
It's that long?
2 minutes.
No.
For everything you've done to me. For everything you've done to me. So, you. So,
That's you, your voice.
Guys, this is killing me right now.
So this image is upside down, and then this small video that occurred 11 minutes later, it's flipped over the other way, closer to your dining room table.
Okay.
Now he's obviously still in there. So he didn't, how did it go from the back to the front?
I flipped it.
Okay.
My plan was not to go upstairs and go to sleep.
The way she says, I flipped it.
Right?
Like she's almost insulted at the question. It's like, is it as if that's an obvious question? Well, I flipped it, right? It's just it's staggering. The audacity of her.
Oh my God. Yeah, no kidding. Oh my goodness. So I wonder what they're going to say about, was she actually telling the truth that she didn't know or she didn't remember this video? Because I kind of think she didn't remember it, but it's interesting to see what these people say.
Yeah, I really don't think she did remember because she was bringing up things about the phone. She was drawing their attention to the phone because she had evidence of the injuries that she had taken photographs of, you know. I think she was staggered when they first showed her this. Although I think she did remember doing it. I just don't think she remembered recording it. But it'll be interesting to see what they say.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you did.
Yeah.
But not intentional though.
All right, Susan Constantine, what do you see with her body language when she's confronted with some pretty damning evidence?
I mean, big time, okay? So she doesn't really know what's on that videotape. She doesn't have a clue. She knows, I know subconsciously, and she remembers because you have these feeder memories. You know that that's stored somewhere in your subconscious. You know that there's this video. She doesn't know, they know. So that's why you see her body language. She's kind of passive aggressive. She's got some issues with covert narcissism. And you see her collapsed body language, her hands cupped very neatly inside of her, between her legs. This is low confidence. She's concerned, worried. But then when she is suspicious, right? She's suspicious of what the investigator is asking her. You can see her eye movements going towards him, like, what do you know that I don't want you to know? And then when she realizes that they've got video footage, she shifts her body language. She almost blocks, like, I don't even want to know. Casey Anthony did the very same thing when she realized, when she was in those, when they found out that there was information that the police officers found out, and her body language completely shut down, moved over. But then she gets very aggressive. You see her arms kind of winging out like this. When she feels attacked, she's an attack dog, and she's going to stand up for herself, and she doesn't care. She's going to do it no matter what. But when I look at her body language overall, she knows what's coming. She wants to know if the investigators know what she knows. And you could see this passive aggressiveness in her, and that she tries to detach because she knows what's on that videotape, and she's fearful and she's blocking. She doesn't want, like, oh, storm's coming, let me go into protection mode, Yeah. So anyway, there's a lot to unpack there. Janine, what'd you see?
I think you hit the nail on the head, Susan. This push back, when we see people with our hand gestures, this is go away, it's pushing away. And she's even saying, you guys are killing me here. I don't want to see this. And, hand gestures are so interesting. It's the best tool that we have as human beings through evolution. A study was done with little kids, and little kids in elementary school are asked to use hand gestures while solving a math problem. By simply using more hand gestures by solving a math problem, guess what happens? They create more strategies to think quickly on their feet. It increases your ability to have cognitive thinking. So with these hand gestures, the more that we see them, and as a matter of fact, as this video footage goes on, you see a lot more hand gestures. This is actually tapping into the part of her brain. Remember, I said earlier, the brain is more connected to our hands than any other part of our body. The more hand gestures we have, the more her cognitive thinking will begin to increase, and she'll come up with one solution after another. We saw this with Casey Anthony. We see this with many murderers that are, in my opinion, let me reframe that. She was found guilty of lying to police, but Jodi Arias was found guilty of murder. And we see these hand gestures come up quite a bit with both Casey Anthony, with Jodi Arias, with, the Chris Watts of the world, and of course here with this case here.
Yeah, and you see it a lot with TV anchors as well. I use my hands all the time, and now I know why. It helps me think. It helps me think better. I knew it subconsciously, but you're absolutely right.
That's why you're so fast on your feet, Michael. You're doing a great job.
I need my hands. They help me think. What I thought when I saw it, as soon as she got confronted with the video, she may not have known what was on the video, but I think she knew what she did. And she was wondering, or it seemed like she knew what was coming was something that wasn't going to be good for her.
Well, she
That's
forgot
essentially
it.
what I saw.
Yeah. Well, listen, Michael, she says she forgot this video or forgot doing that. And then she says, I flipped him over. Well, why did the suitcase go from this side to this side? I flipped him over, duh. It's like, she needs to let her brain know what story she's sticking with and stick with it.
That's right. Yeah, and that's part of the problem.
And that's the point too, is what Janine's talking about, and all of us are seeing, is that everything that she says can be examined. So it's in her body language we can examine. We can examine every single word that she speaks. We can examine the evidence that's there. Also her voice stress if she's lying. All of these pieces, there's so much available to us now that we never had before, and it's getting better and better. And we've got technology now that we actually can do the same thing.
Yeah, and I got to end it there, guys, because I'm running out of time. We're coming up against the break, but this was fantastic fun. We'll be doing more of this in the future for sure. Thank you so much for joining.
Fantastic fun. Fantastic fun. Oh my goodness.
Unfortunate phrase.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I hope I don't have nightmares tonight.
Well, this is the whole thing about true crime. It's a dark hobby, Tracy.
But they mentioned, a couple of your favorite girls, Jodi Arias, all these Chris Watts. Well, he wasn't a girl, but the other one, Casey Anthony, right? Those are all some of your favorites. They're lumping them in. There must be some sort of connection about this Boone case that's really got you hooked. And here I am using my hand gestures because I'm cognitive. Apparently, I'm more cognitive when I'm using my hand gestures. So I'm not insane. I'm just, I'm just.
As you're trying to hypnotize me.
That's right. No, I get my pendulum out for you. That's for another day. I can teach your chat how to use a pendulum, and I also did that on the Armchair Detectives channel. And he anyway, enough said.
I tell you what, though, I was really impressed with the handwriting analysis. You know.
We'll see how much how true it is, because one of the things they did say was, and I think I've heard Spidey saying this too on the behavioral panel, is that there's, you know, when you put your hands, you know, in your lap like that, it's sort of guarding, and that indicates low self-confidence. Well, maybe she had grown some self-confidence by, I think you said she's been in jail for like what, 2 years now.
2.5 years. Yeah.
Her T's are crossed really high. It seems like she's got really good self-confidence to me. So it'll be interesting to see her on the stand, and she'll, if she even testifies. What do you think? Will she testify on her own behalf?
I think she's the kind of character that will insist that she goes on the stand. A bit like Jodi Arias in that sense. And who knows, it might be a part of why there was such problems with the previous attorney that decided to leave the case. You know, she kind of indicated that in the letter that we were looking at there. You know, that she felt that because, you know, she was really anxious about moving forward with things, and she was suggesting that's maybe why the attorney, you know, just abandoned her. So I think she's going to be the kind of person that will demand to be on the stand.
Yeah.
I get that impression.
On next Monday, right? Next Monday?
Well,
that's what I'm
fingers
manifesting.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Rabid, thank you again for having me on your channel. It's been great.
You're
Always
welcome.
nice talking to you, and your chat's been so nice and respectful. And I got to see a lot of people I haven't seen in a while, and
Yeah,
wonderful.
that's great.
Yeah, we even talked about gurgling and body language analysis and statement analysis. So some other things to think about.
We
for
covered a
sure.
lot of bases, Tracy.
Yeah. So if anybody else wants to come up, I'm going to go ahead and hop down now.
Cool.
But yeah, you take good care, Rabid. All right, and everybody
I
else in the
will.
chat too. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
And check out Tracy's channel, Calm in the Chaos. There's the link in chat. And yeah, thanks again, Tracy. That was really interesting, actually.
Yeah, the last video I did on my channel, it has a nice, I made a decision tree for red flags and reporting red flags, and I was quite proud of it. So checking that out is, and I had a couple of clips. One, I was talking back to Scott Reich, who I actually really agreed with, and he actually gave me permission to use the video. I asked him just for courtesy, but he gave me permission to use it. But I liked having a little conversation with his video. That was super fun. So check it out.
Yeah, I'll go and check that out myself.
All right. Take it easy, Rabid. Take care,
All
everybody
right,
in chat.
Tracy.
Okay.
Bye for now.
Bye.
All right, guys, that was interesting, wasn't it? The handwriting analysis as well. Kind of all made sense, doesn't it? Okay, last calls for anyone that would anything they'd like to say on panel. Just really hoping that it does go ahead on the 26th. November's a long way away, 4 months. Oh, thanks, Snoop. Yeah, check out the video that Tracy just mentioned there. Links in the chat. I know I said before that I most likely wouldn't be doing another Sarah Boone video until the trial came out. But that was before these recent interviews, especially the one from the neighbour. Just have a feeling that they have more evidence to be able to charge her with second degree, and that'll be interesting to watch. I know, Raven, right? This is, how many have I done now? 7. 7 on Boone. I'll do my best, Irish. We can't take the sun over here. Not for too long. There is so many different ways to look at it. One thing I'm pretty confident in, because I did notice a few guys back in the thread there talking about the possibility of first degree. One thing I'm pretty certain of is that she did not premeditate anything in this. And it would not have happened if it wasn't for her addiction. Which doesn't mean that she's not guilty. It's just the severity of the punishment and how mitigating her circumstances are. That is the question. And if she only shared a bottle and a half of wine, then she has no defense. You're freezing in Australia. Oh, this is your winter, isn't it? Yeah, Snip. I agree. I think she meant to get revenge for his cheating, but I don't think she intended for him to die. And like I say, it's like the inverse of Chris Watts, you know? To anyone that came across Chris, he seemed like an amiable, good guy, have a decent personality, but yet he did the most heinous of crimes that he's 100% guilty of. Whereas our Sarah here has the most heinous of personalities, but yet may not be guilty of second degree in my eyes, depending upon what evidence they have. And I think, based on everything we've seen, they are right to charge her with second degree. I've amended my opinion on that. I'm just not entirely confident that they'll get that charge to stick, but we'll see. And I don't mind being wrong or amending my interpretation, because when you think about it, that's really the whole point of true crime, right? Why else cover true crime on YouTube? Because you wanna learn about the cases on a micro level, but more about human behavior on a macro level. So I don't understand this whole, what seems to be common, in true crime, where a creator will make their argument and never go back on that regardless. What's the point? I'm not afraid of being wrong or changing my position or attached to defending an initial stance. Because it's the truth that matters, right? It's not about our egos. Hey, Glamorous Girl, how are you? Does Scotland have these crazy psycho crimes like in the States? Yeah, just not as many because, well, we don't have guns on the street for one. And it's just a lot smaller. Snoop, yeah, exactly. For Chris Watts, no one could believe it, but for Sarah, it seems on brand. Yeah, totally. Just her incredible narcissism and seeming lack of compassion, shock, and horror. She was with this guy for over 3 years. What's the most famous one? What do you mean over here in Scotland? God. Well, in the UK, I guess it would be the Madeleine McCann case. I don't, Glamis. I think she lied about how much she consumed. She said that they had half a bottle of wine and then they opened another bottle and had that between the two of them. But by all accounts, she was an alcoholic. I think they both pretty much were. Oh, thanks, Alma. She is very unlikable, Snoop. Very. It's, yeah. Her arrogance may be her downfall, you know? Jodi Arias style. In Scotland, Melanie? I don't know, actually. I need to think about that. I don't know. I don't know, actually. I'll need to get back to you on that one. Yeah, like Snoop says, Glamis, the ex-husband was saying in his interview that her go-to drink was vodka. You just get the impression that she would be topping up on that vodka through the days, you know. Yeah, her son's father does seem to have his head on straight, and he was basically financing her. Raven, can it be premeditated while it's happening in real time, if that makes sense? Yeah, I think it can be. Yeah, and it also depends what state you're in, because the way that the law's written for each degree isn't consistent across the board. It's different interpretations from state to state. Melanie, is there a Florida of the UK for crazies? Yeah, that'd be over on the west coast. I'm on the east coast. Over parts of the west coast. I'll get killed for saying that, but Alma wants to play hide and seek. Don't do it. Don't do it. It would be difficult, Raven, yeah. Naked hide and seek. Alma's raising the stakes. Melanie wants to move to Florida. Is that safe for your health? Ah, you're conducting a poll. Okay, got you. It all happens here. Melanie's taking one for the team by going down to Florida. Make a video vlog then of your experience. I know, right, Glamis? All the crazy crimes take place in Florida for some reason. Why is that? Come on, there's enough Americans in here. Why is it so crazy in Florida? What's the reason? It's the heat. So it's sunstroke getting to people. What happened to SD? What's SD? What famous cases took place in Florida? George Zimmerman. I don't recognize any other names there. Mick Philpott was pretty despicable in the UK. I don't know that one. The heat and lots of drugs and alcohol, I would assume, plus the influx of vacationers. Things get crazy on vacation. Yeah. Oh, was Anthony Todd from Florida? What a nut job he was. If anyone's not seen Anthony Todd on The Stand, go and check that out. Unbelievable. The ego and the narcissism of this guy. I think he actually surpasses Jodi Arias. Staggering. Yeah, who was that guy again, Raven, that killed Holly and Jessica? Yeah, Jackie's wanting me to cover Daniel Redlick. That was Florida too. I might have to, right? If this goddamn case is delayed till November. I tend to zone in on one case at a time. Ian Huntley, that's it, yeah. That's right, Maxine Carr, yeah. Who's Adelson? I need to get my Alex Higgins video out there. I've been terrible getting that done. 20 years ago. It's crazy. Wendy Adelson. That rings a bell, Alma. She's not the one that pushed her boyfriend out the window of a tower block, is it? Glamis says, I think Redlick should have spent more time in jail. Sad case. The kids are so young. Mark Markle. That's one I've heard the name of, but I know nothing about it. Thanks, Snoop. Hit that like, folks. It's free. Wendy is the lawyer. Oh, right, okay. whose brother, the dentist, hired a hitman to knock off her ex-husband. Yeah, I definitely know the name. Okay, just for just out of interest, guys, type a 1 if you think second-degree murder is the right charge. Type a 2 if any of you out there are left thinking manslaughter. A 1 for second-degree murder, a 2 for manslaughter. Melanie's right in there. Melanie's been the OG for second degree. Stood firm against all arguments. Oh, we've got 1, 2. That's how I see it, Glamis, right? I mean, when I began this, I was obviously just going on the interrogation, and I did have some sympathy for her at that point. But the more and more information that's come out, I think I can still make the argument for manslaughter, but I have no sympathy for her. That's the one thing that's changed. The Secret is a Northern Ireland case, trending on Netflix. Let me have a look. Is that connected to our religious establishment, is it? Irish. Jackie is a 1. Did you start off as a 1? Sorry, did you start off thinking second degree or manslaughter? I think you said initially manslaughter as well, didn't you? Snoop changes their mind with every stream. It's going to be interesting though, right, just to find out what evidence they do have above what we know. It is Irish. Lovers kill off their partners. And that's on Netflix, so I need to check that out. Oh, Pink's live. Pink Lady Luck. I think I'm going to draw this to a close, guys. If anyone's not being in Pink's channel. She's doing some really good stuff right now. She's been rather philosophical of late. She's live now. Go and check her out. Tell her I sent you. I think she will take the stand, Snoop. Yeah, I do. And I agree it won't work out well for her. Thanks. Well, it'll be interesting to see if any of us end up changing our mind again through the trial or not. All right, guys. I'm going to say good night. Thanks everyone for coming in. I think there was some interesting stuff in this one, and it was good to just wrap up all the loose ends with all the information that we can know now is out there. I think I've got it all on these videos, so that's pretty cool. Got you, Alma. You're allowed to change your mind. Oh, thanks, Raven. All right, guys, stay safe, and I shall see you on the YouTube streams. Enjoy the weekend. Good night. Hello.
Yo, what's going on, buddy?
How's it going? How are you?
Oh, it's pretty good. I'm not sure if I can hear you. I might have to drop down and come back.
Unfortunately, I've ended the